Chapter 834. Li Sun, who had received the tactical support from Wang Wan, was completely relieved. Most of the troops retreated, except for those who had received instructions from the fleet in advance to cover the retreat. 2,000 people had already started to set fire. Li Sun left another 2,000 people behind to provide support, and at the same time divided into small groups to set fire. Billowing smoke rose from all directions, blowing here and there as the wind changed direction. The people who had finished setting the fire all hid by the seaside and did not move. They were under the protection of the gunships that could not continue to head north. Looking at the gray sky, Li Sun sighed, as if talking to himself or to the people around him. Unfortunately, I don't know how much wealth will be lost this time. It's all my fault. I didn't succeed in conquering the Blackwater Commander-in-Chief's mansion. Otherwise, I wouldn't have to resort to this. Shinjun was beside Li Sun. Hearing Li Sun's words, he was very puzzled and comforted him. Your Highness, why worry? Even if it's burned, it's the trees of the Blackwater Commander-in-Chief's mansion. It's not a pity. The others who only knew how to fight nodded in agreement. Li Sun chuckled. What do you know? There's no Blackwater Commander-in-Chief's mansion. You have to look at the long term. Now, it seems to be someone else's territory, but after this is over, it will be Tang's territory. There are many trees that can be used as pillars, and the rare beasts and medicinal herbs on the mountain are all gone. Do you know how much money has been lost? It can't be counted. If the burned land is developed, it might be able to contribute to 1/5 of Tang's territory. Damn Blackwater Commander-in-Chief's mansion, playing hard and fast and guerrilla warfare with me. Isn't it because they can't adapt to the environment? Shinjun was shocked. So much money? If I had known this would happen, I would have let Wang Wan personally lead the troops. I think that with her ability, she can definitely destroy the Blackwater Commander-in-Chief's mansion. Shinjun only realized after saying this that he was belittling Commander-in-Chief Tang. He was about to explain, but Li Sun waved his hand. Yes, I'm not as good as Cuckoo, but Cuckoo can't come here to command the troops. Wouldn't that make it seem that Tang has her as a general? That's why they only gave me advice and didn't come here personally. This battle has to be won, no matter how many resources are lost or how many Tang soldiers are injured or killed. Not only must we win, we must get a result as quickly as possible. We can't drag this out. If we do, who knows how many people will start having other thoughts. The army officer sighed and echoed, Your Highness is right. Our Tang Empire is full of talents. We can't let Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan participate in everything. Otherwise, what will others think of our Tang Empire? Let's burn it. We'd rather lose it. Li Sun laughed. Who said they won't participate? They just won't fight directly. When a number of casualties is about the same, Zhang Xiaobao will definitely have a way to minimize the losses. Since they came up with the idea, they will definitely have a follow-up plan. Can we really get any benefits from it? Shinjun didn't believe it. What benefits could there be if it was burned down? I don't know about others, but Zhang Xiaobao definitely won't just focus on destruction. Maybe it's a trick within a trick. Let's wait and see. We'll know when the time comes. Li Sun didn't doubt Zhang Xiaobao's ability at all. He looked at the gray smoke that dyed the sky and felt much better. In the government office of Jili State, Craftsman Yin, who had become a judge, finally got together with his younger brother. They talked about various things after they parted. Although they used to communicate with each other through letters, it couldn't be compared to face-to-face communication. His younger brother was much more honest now. He didn't think about corruption and bribery anymore. Back then, he was bold because he wanted to use his life to get more money and then provide it to his family, such as his father and brother. Now, he was more worried about whether his actions back then would implicate his family. After learning that his brother was fine after embezzling 60,000 strings of cash, he secretly admired Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's breadth of mind and decided to be a good official in the future. It wasn't that he didn't want to live a better life, but he knew that as long as he followed Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan and did things properly, he wouldn't be fooled by the fact that he didn't have much money now. Once he left office, whether he was promoted or transferred to another place, he would be rewarded handsomely. Now, he didn't have much money, but he also didn't have enough to spend. All the necessities of life should be provided by the government office. The things given by Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan could only be described with one word: extravagant. If he was a county magistrate somewhere else, even if he tried his best to be greedy, he wouldn't be able to get the various furniture in his house now, or the refined food every day. The two brothers met again after a long separation and had endless things to say. They sat in the Bihai Insha restaurant on the main street of the government office from morning until it was time to light the lamps. Perhaps because they knew that they couldn't eat much, the two of them ordered a few cold dishes and warmed up the wine. By the time night fell, they were already drunk, but they didn't make a fuss. There was an indescribable smoothness to them. I heard that you've been following Governor Zhang and have a deep understanding of him. How much do you know about him? Looking at the bustling scene of the brightly lit streets outside, craftsman Yin felt much more energetic after drinking a large bowl of hangover soup and asked his younger brother. The county magistrate, Yin Arian, who was called Heir, was very embarrassed at this time. In the past, when he wrote to his older brother, he didn't dare to say that he was targeted and thrown to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan to deal with. He only said that he was chosen by the two, so he was transferred from another place to Xinsai County, which was close to Baoxing County. Then he was transferred to Jili County and promoted all the way from an ordinary county magistrate to the position of county magistrate. He asked people to bring back good things like fungus, ginseng, sea cucumber, and so on. He also said that Zhang Xiaobao gave him because he performed well. In fact, all county magistrates had this treatment. Hearing his older brother's question, he hesitated but still decided to tell the truth. He stood up and said a few words to the waiter in the restaurant. After a while, the waiter of the restaurant served a pot of tea. He poured a cup for his older brother and picked up a cup for himself. He said, "Brother, try this Maojian tea. It's premium Maojian tea. It's only a little worse than the premium Maojian tea given to the emperor and a few important people. You can't buy it outside even if you have money." Craftsman Yin was stunned. He picked up the cup and tasted it. He nodded and said, "It's indeed better than the one I bought. The package I bought also said premium. Why is the taste different? Did they fake it?" After drinking 2 sips of tea, Craftsman Yin felt like he was cheated and was angry. Yin Arian smiled and said, "It's not fake. The package says premium, so it's premium. It's just premium Maojian tea that can be bought and sold. It doesn't count those that can't be bought and sold. If you like it, you can take more when you leave." "Oh, I'm leaving. I'm in the manor now. It's time for me to go back to Yiying County. Why don't you give me good tea? You said you can't buy it. Where did you get this tea?" Craftsman Yin smacked his lips and savored the bitterness and sweetness of the tea. He was very happy that his younger brother was living a good life now. "It's from the Blue Sea Silver Sand. You're now the magistrate of Jili Province. Your benefits are better than mine. I won't use my own things to make up for it. I say I understand Governor Zhang, and I really do. How can I not understand the so-called enemy? It's a pity that I'm too bad as an opponent. He doesn't recognize me as an opponent. I've racked my brains to create some trouble, but he doesn't even look at me. I worked myself to death and learned some skills. It's nothing more than a fool's dream to want to deal with Governor Zhang." "Big brother, what do you want to know?" "I'll tell you what I know." After Yin Arian told him his original thoughts, he felt much more relaxed. It was as if he had put down a heavy burden. His words shocked Craftsman Yin. He began to look at his younger brother again. He wanted to see if his younger brother had 3 heads and 6 arms. He actually dared to go against Governor Zhang. After looking at him for a while, he lowered his voice and said, "Arian, didn't the letter say that Governor Zhang likes you? Why did it change?" Yin Arian smiled bitterly and said, "How could he like me? Any random person from his family is better than me. It was the emperor who liked me. No, it was the emperor who liked him. He put me, a useless official, by their side to train them. I'm not the first one. The first one was a man named He Wei. Now, he's a high-ranking official in Yaozhou. I came later. His Majesty wanted to see what they were capable of, so he threw me around them. After a while, the edges and corners of my heart were smoothed out. Before I came to Jili Province, I wanted to make trouble for them. In the end, I didn't succeed. I didn't want to accept it, so I did my best to understand it. That's why I wrote to you about how to build the province. Don't worry, I've already given up on my previous plans. I'm going to follow them and be a good official. I won't be as reckless as before." When craftsman Yin heard the last part of his brother's words, he wiped the cold sweat on his forehead. He let out a long breath and asked, "How much do you know?" "A lot. I know that their family has a lot of money. They have a lot of shares in the Tang Bank. They also do business between the clouds and the water, between the clouds, blue sea, silver sand, and the supermarket. They also do business on roads and bridges. They also have a fleet on the Yangtze River and the Yellow River, a fleet on the sea, and a land transport team. Luzhou is their world. They also have a huge force in Tubo's Jinchuan. They have a big ranch in Feng Province. They have a winery and a ski resort in Wing Province. There's no need to mention this place. In addition to these, I also know that they have a lot of weapons. Not all of them are exposed to the public. I know that the number 0 seedling protection team of their 2 families has started to form their own teams. They're trained to be generals. I know that all the servants in their family's inner court are very powerful. I know that there is an even more important matter that others do not understand, and that is that in my observations, I have discovered that they are not thinking about fighting with the officials of the Great Tang, nor are they thinking about competing with the merchants of the Great Tang. They want to solve all their problems at once, such as Yin told his brother what he knew, but before he could finish, his mouth was covered by his brother's hand. Craftsman Yin looked around nervously. When he saw that there was no one else, his face turned yellow. He moved closer to his brother's ear and said, "Second, let's not talk about what they want to do. If they want to rebel, they need evidence. Otherwise, trouble comes from the mouth." "Brother, what are you talking about? Rebel? Who's rebelling?" "I didn't say that the Zhang family and the Wang family wanted to rebel. If they wanted to rebel, they would have done so long ago. With the strength of their 2 families, even if they don't directly become the emperor, they can at least control half of the country. What I want to say is, for example, they sent people to travel along the sea. It seems that they're looking for some very good things. From the people in their family's inner court, I heard that as long as they can find those things, our Tang won't have to fear any disasters in the future. Also, they want to turn all the places they can see into our Tang's land. Xinyuan Island is one of them, but there will be more in the future. For example, the Bohai Sea Commander-in-Chief's office. In the past, our dynasty couldn't directly control it, but now we can. They are currently attacking the Blackwater Commander-in-Chief's office. Once they take it, they will continue to occupy the north. What I want to say is that if you follow Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, you won't have to worry about not being able to become a high-ranking official. Wang Wan doesn't have to worry about losing a war. Even if they don't have the legendary mystical abilities, with just their weapons, others won't be able to defend their territory. Zhang Xiaobao's ability to build a territory has already reached the level of a demon. I've studied it before. Miraculously, no matter where they go, they can always find the local resources very quickly. There are coal mines, iron mines, gold, silver, copper, and so on, as well as all kinds of local specialties. For example, when I interplanted soybeans and sesame seeds in Shinsai County, they produced sesame oil. Sure enough, it's different. It tastes good and sells well. Yin words left his brother dumbfounded. Craftsman Yin knew of the power of the Zhang family and the Wang family, but he didn't know so much about it. Only after hearing from his brother did he truly understand the power of the Zhang family and the Wang family. If that's the case, doesn't that mean they can turn stone into gold? No wonder the 9 children in their family can be so arrogant. At such a young age, they're already 4th-rank officials. Although they are not official, they are still officials. They could be impeached and can also be questioned. It turns out that the current emperor is afraid of them rebelling. Craftsman Yin felt a lot better. He no longer cared about why Xiao Bei and the others could be such high-ranking officials. Going back to the history, such a thing had never happened before. Yin shook his head. No, it has nothing to do with that. His Majesty is... Speaking of this, Yin lowered his voice. His Majesty feels that he owes the Zhang family and the Wang family too much. The 2 families have countless businesses, such as the Tracker Association on the Yangtze River, the Breeders Association in Jiannan, and the construction team in Jiannan. but they don't have a lot of money to spend. Little brother's not a lot refers to the proportion, not the actual amount. The money for the research on all sorts of powerful weapons is from their family. Many of the soldiers' benefits are from their family, not the imperial court, roads, bridges, or disaster relief. Wherever the great Tang needs money, their family will take it, and not a small amount. His Majesty has obtained fame, all sorts of good technology, and land, so he will naturally compensate them. Thus, their family's power is slightly greater. Craftsman Yin suddenly understood. If his brother hadn't said this, he really wouldn't have known the situation. After thinking for a moment, he said, "They do have a bit more power. For example, the rumors from the capital say that Zhang Zhong's position as minister was arranged by his family. For example, the transfer of my position was done with a single word. But if they do this, can their family really support the entire Great Tang? Will His Majesty tolerate a family like theirs in the Great Tang? Of course, they won't be able to support it for long. They are currently changing. One reason is to avoid His Majesty's suspicions, and the other is to gradually withdraw from this kind of financial support. For example, in Gemu province, they miraculously found a very large coal mine. I don't know how they were so accurate. After they found it, they started to contact others to mine it. It's the same for aluminum and other mines. They also transported all sorts of resources back from overseas. In the future, when there are other people to be officials in this place, they can split the benefits and have money. Naturally, they can support the local army. I heard from their family's inner court that in the future, the taxes will be directly managed by the capital and then sent back. Their family will then withdraw from this place. This way, they won't have to continue managing the conscripts, and His Majesty won't have to worry. Yenair pointed to the north and told his brother about the large coal mine they found there. Craftsman Yin nodded woodenly. You really can turn stone into gold. You can find all sorts of mineral resources just by coming here. Amazing. Even more amazing is yet to come. Brother, have you heard of Kuanbu? Of course, it's good stuff. Many children in school are eating it now. It's said that eating it won't make one's neck grow longer. It's also written in the medical books. Why bring it up? Craftsman Yin looked at his younger brother with an expression that said, Why do you have to ask your brother such a simple question? Then, do you know that Kuanbu can be planted? Do you know that the wood ear I usually ask people to bring back to my family is planted by their family? Have you seen the place where ginseng is planted? Have you seen the pearls that are planted? Yin asked one question after another. Every time he asked a question, Craftsman Yin would shake his head vigorously. When Yin was done, Craftsman Yin blinked and said in disbelief, Don't tell Big Brother that they can grow these things. Yin did not say anything directly. Instead, he took out a box from his pocket and opened it, revealing a necklace made of pearls. He pushed it in front of his brother. Brother, this is a gift from your younger brother to sister-in-law. It's a reward for doing a good job in the county. These are the pearls that Lu Zhou cultivated for 3 years. There are also more than 10 bottles of pearl cream. I didn't bring them today. I'll ask someone to send them to you when I get back. When Craftsman Yin saw the pearls in the box, he was completely dumbfounded. After a while, he recovered slightly. He picked up the pearls and examined them carefully. They were round and shone with a dazzling radiance. Under the illumination of the street lamps, they looked extraordinarily beautiful. Each pearl was about the same size, about 5 minutes long. It was not that he had never seen bigger pearls. Although he did not own one, he had seen more than 10 6-minute pearls placed together. However, those pearls were different from the ones in front of him. He had seen them before and knew that they were priceless. It was not easy to find them among the shells. The pearls he saw today were cultivated. If they could be cultivated, the pearls would not be as valuable as before. How could pearls be cultivated? How did the Zhang family and Wang family do it? When he thought of this, Craftsman Yin asked, Have the pearls lost their value? No. Apart from being used to make cosmetics and jewelry, most of the pearls are sent to the hospital and treated as medicinal herbs. Yes, medicinal herbs can also be planted. When I have time, I'll go to the seaside and take a look. I'll tell you where to plant Kuanbu. Zhang Xiaobao and the others call it kelp. One of the spices in their restaurant is obtained from kelp. Second, Yin seemed very excited. It was as if he was the one who had done all this. Craftsman, Yin nodded in a daze. Okay. The stars in the sky were sparse, and the moon was bright. Craftsman, Yin had yet to recover from his shock when he returned to his own courtyard. Today, from what his younger brother told him, he completely understood the background of the Zhang family and the Wang family. He was not afraid of their influence. Instead, he was happy. He was so happy that his mind was in a daze. He liked to research all kinds of things. Researching things required a lot of money. If he succeeded, it would be fine. If he failed, he did not know how much money he would need to replenish it. From now on, as long as he followed Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, money would not be a problem. Just like what his younger brother said before they parted, if he followed the Zhang family and the Wang family, he would not have to think about other things. He would work hard and be loyal. In the future, as the territory expanded, he would need more officials. If he caught the eye of the Zhang family and the Wang family, it would be easy for him to become a provincial governor. He would work hard, whether it was for his interests or for his future position. Craftsman Yin made up his mind. He waved his fist and stood up, preparing to go outside to see the beauty of the nightless city. Unexpectedly, he met two people as soon as he stepped out of the door. It was a man and a woman. The man was handsome, and the woman was beautiful. There was an indescribable indifference on his face. When he was easygoing, he gave people the feeling that he was a crane in a flock of chickens. No matter how he looked, he found them familiar. He rubbed his eyes and looked carefully under the light of the street lamps. Yes, he knew them. Provincial Governor Zhang, Adjunct Officer Wang, why are you two here? Craftsman Yin asked, puzzled. Magistrate Yin, you really want to go for a walk? Before I came, I made a bet with Xiaobao. I said that after drinking with your younger brother today, you should be tired and would go to bed early and come back tomorrow. Xiaobao said that you would definitely sit in the courtyard for a while and then want to come out. Who would have thought that you would really come out? Wang Wan blushed slightly as she spoke. She glanced at Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao had a smug look on his face. It was unknown what the bet was. Craftsman Yin did not pay attention to other people's expressions. His own face had changed, becoming incomparably pale. Before he came out, he had been frightened by the conversation with his younger brother. He had not recovered yet. Now, he was frightened again. Wasn't this too amazing? He could even predict whether he would go out or rest at night. Before he could even take a step out of the door, he was already blocked at the door. What else did they not know? No wonder his younger brother was so arrogant. With this kind of ability, he would not lower himself to his younger brother's level. When his younger brother did something, he did not need to send people to monitor him. Perhaps he could predict it with his fingers. Ah, the heavens, the earth. It was no wonder that they led the army to war or engaged in economic construction and discovered all kinds of mines so smoothly. It turned out that it could be calculated. It was no wonder that His Majesty was so good to the two families. Presumably, His Majesty was aware of their abilities and might even calculate the fate of the country. The result must be good. Official Yin, what are you thinking about? Perfect. The two of us have something to say to you. Let's go out and take a look. To be honest, even though the two of us watched over the construction of this place, the two of us did not have much time to appreciate it. We were busy all day, running from east to west and from west to east. At this time, Wang Wan spoke to wake Craftsman Yin. That's right. The two of you must be very tired. It must be very tiring to predict. Craftsman Yin followed up on his earlier thoughts. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were stunned. At the same time, they smiled at Wai Wei. They did not explain what psychology was and walked on the street with Craftsman Yin. Craftsman Yin was a little nervous and a little excited. He did not know how to talk to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. After walking for a few dozen steps, he seemed very bored. It was Zhang Xiaobao who spoke first. Official Yin, do you want to be an official or a researcher? If you want to be an official, look at the construction situation of Zhua County. As long as you don't go greedy for money to do research, I can arrange for you to be the provincial governor of a province. Zhang Xiaobao's words stunned Craftsman Yin. He then reacted and asked, what if I do research? If you do research, you can't be an official. You can only be a research official. It's not the Ministry of Works. nor is it the Military Weapons Administration. It's a new department that will appear soon. What you need to do is to research all kinds of technology. There will be other people taking care of your daily life. Zhang Zobeo told Craftsman Yin about the things he had been thinking about recently for him to choose from. Craftsman Yin knew that if Zhang Zobeo said that there would be a department dedicated to this in the future, there would definitely be one. No one in the imperial court could stop it. Which aspect did he want to work on? The meaning behind his words was that as long as he became a research official, he would not be able to manage the people. He had to consider it carefully. As he thought about it, Craftsman Yin raised his head to look at the bright street lamps. For a moment, he did not know how to answer. Wang Wan also looked at the street lamps and explained, the electricity used for these street lamps is driven by wind turbines. They found a vent here and set up a cluster. No matter which direction the wind blows, there will be a windmill that will turn. Usually, it will provide public services and street lamps in the provincial capital. Some merchants who are willing to spend money will also receive electricity. This is all due to the advancement of technology. If the steam engine is good enough and can be used to generate electricity, there won't be a need for a vent. Being a research official is a blessing to the people. In fact, researching more advanced technology will also benefit many people. As for the treatment of technical officials, they will be treated the same as administrative officials. At the current stage, they will be treated better than administrative officials. Our great Tang needs the rapid development of technology to leave other countries far behind. We need to build bigger ships and search for more useful resources overseas. As soon as Craftsman Yin heard this, he understood what Wang Wan meant. Wang Wan wanted him to be a technician because he had figured out the steam engine. He couldn't help but feel excited when he thought about how the things he made in the future could be as convenient as this electric light. He felt a great sense of achievement. Adjunct Wang, is my steam engine going to be used on the people soon? I will continue to improve it and try to make it smaller and easier to use. What benefits will the people get from it? In an instant, Craftsman Yin felt that he was very noble to be able to use the things he made on the people. Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobeo also admitted that Craftsman Yan's idea was noble, but the two of them couldn't follow Craftsman Yan's suggestion and use the steam engine on the people. Zhang Xiaobao glanced at Wang Wan and said to Craftsman Yin, Lord Yin, the steam engine is good, but it can't be used on the people right away. Then where should we use it? Craftsman Yin was surprised. Use it on warships. I'm sure Lord Yin has heard that we have a very powerful naval weapon called the gunboat. Wherever it goes, even ghosts and gods will retreat. However, the speed of the ship is still too slow, and it consumes a lot of manpower. A lot of space is wasted. If we put the steam engine on the ship will be faster and save the space needed to move the oars. We can also carry more cannonballs and hit whoever we want. Zhang Xiaobao explained to Craftsman Yin directly. Craftsman Yin opened his mouth and sighed. He said, so it's used to kill people. The invention of this technology isn't to immediately benefit the people. Yes, it's used to kill people. If people don't accept it, then kill them. If they accept it, then it's a deterrent. It's not directly benefiting the people, but it's still in the category of benefiting the people. Without powerful military force, how can the people live a stable life? Good technology should always be used on the military first, even if the creator of the technology didn't think so. For example, when my family made firecrackers, it was to prepare for cannonballs in the future. Now, go to Tubo and say you're from the Great Tang. See if anyone dares to be disrespectful to you. Go to Xinluo and see if they dare to expel you and look down on you. Zhang Xiaobao was afraid that Craftsman Yin would give up being a technician. Such a talent was not easy to find, especially since Craftsman Yan's thinking was what Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan needed the most. Therefore, he gave an example when persuading him. Craftsman Yin lowered his head and thought for a moment. Then, he raised his head and looked at the people walking on the streets. He nodded and said, they don't dare. They're already scared, especially Xinluo. Your Idyll province is so close, and you can attack from both land and water. Plus, with Adjunct Wang's vengeful personality, they don't dare. Just like what Adjunct Wang said when he led the logistics camp in Ingzhou to kill the Tubo people. If you kill me, I'll slaughter your village. Thinking about it, the people who died in battle, the people who starved to death, and the hundreds of thousands of slaves who ran to your hands should be enough for each person to slaughter a village. Then, Lord Yin, have you thought it through? When Wang Wan heard Craftsman Yin mention her, Wei Wei smiled and asked. Nodding, Craftsman Yan's gaze became firm. I've thought it through. I'll be a technician and strengthen the Tang army first. Hearing his answer, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan heaved a sigh of relief. In order to give Craftsman Yin some confidence, Zhang Xiaobao said, Lord Yin, actually, the steam engine can not only be used on warships. If it's the mainstream of the Yangtze River and the Yellow River, it can also be used for civilian transportation and carrying people. Try it on warships first. If it's useful, we'll immediately put on civilian ships. Then, it'll be more convenient to travel between the north and the south. Lord Yin, you should have heard of the Huayuan Express delivery. That's actually under our management. With a fast ship, it'll be more convenient to send goods and letters to the people who need them. Perhaps he was numb from the shock, but when he heard that the most powerful letter delivery organization in Great Tang was under the management of the Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family, Craftsman Yin didn't show any surprise. Instead, he smiled. I know. My little brother wrote me letters in that direction. Back then, my little brother was afraid that you guys would find out about his letters, so he didn't dare to use the official route. I didn't expect that the other direction he took would still be under your control. I'll definitely study the steam engine properly. Wang Wan suddenly had an idea and added, Lord Yin, actually, there's one more thing that we haven't told you yet. After all, it requires too much money to support. However, I can promise you that as long as you can make the steam engine work well and not break down too often, we'll spend a lot of money on it. Can you tell me about it first? Craftsman Yin was curious. The thing is called a train. Why is it called that? Because it needs to ignite and release steam. It travels on 2 tracks, and its speed is very, very fast. It can travel at least 1,000 kilometers in 2 hours. Oh no, it can travel at least 70 to 80 li. It's very convenient whether it's transporting people or goods. Wang Wan almost told him the speed of the train she and Zhang Xiaobao used back then. 2 hours was 2 hours, so it wouldn't be a problem for it to travel 1,000 kilometers. Craftsman Yin, who had already thought that he wouldn't be surprised, couldn't help but widen his eyes. If it can travel 80 li in 2 hours, wouldn't it be faster than the 800 li express? Governor Zhang, Adjunct Wang, can you go ahead and tell this lowly official in detail? If someone else had said this, Craftsman Yin felt that he would have scoffed. Who were they trying to fool? Traveling 70 to 80 li in 2 hours meant that it would only take 40 to 50 days to travel from one side of Great Tang to the other. How was that possible? But when Wang Wan said this, and when he thought of the two's ability to calculate, even if he didn't think it was possible, it should still be possible. For a moment, Craftsman Yin couldn't hold back his curiosity and insisted on dragging Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan to a place so that they could talk about it in detail. Zhang Xiaobao glanced at the roadside and saw a big stall in front of him. The meat skewers on the stall were emitting light green smoke. There were also bowls of rice wine being served by the waiter from time to time. Many people were eating and drinking there despite the cold of spring. He said to Craftsman Yin, for example, go ahead and try the meat skewers as a check. If they dare to use bad meat, I'll get Xiao Bei and the others to come over. Craftsman Yin knew that Zhang Xiaobao was joking. During the day, he had heard from his younger brother that the people of Jili province already regarded Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan as gods. No one would violate the rules set by the two of them, let alone use bad meat when roasting meat. Thinking of how Xiao Bei and the others had come to find him not long ago, he smiled and said, yes, if Governor Zhang really went to find Xiao Bei and the others, even if that person didn't have a problem, he would have said what he was thinking. At the time, I was so scared that I didn't even dare to hide it. They're just children. They only know how to fool around. If it weren't for that, I wouldn't have met such a formidable person like Official Yin. Let's go, it's my treat today. Zhang Xiaobao was also very happy to hear his younger brother and sister praised. Of course. Who told Governor Zhang to be so rich? Craftsman Yin followed over and found an empty table to sit down. He first ordered a pot of hot tea to warm himself up, then randomly chose a few skewers to roast. The three of them began to talk about the train. Chapter 835. The Blackwater Commander-in-Chief's mansion, which was the Suani tribe and its affiliated tribes, had just turned defeat into victory. They were ready to take down the Bohai Commander-in-Chief's mansion, which was secretly supporting the Tang army. The battlefield was very bright. The Tang army could not adapt to the bad weather. Although there was an army that was very good at fighting in the forest, they could not withstand the cold of the snow, so their fighting strength was greatly reduced. Just as they were about to defeat the Tang army of more than 20,000, the Tang army suddenly changed tactics at the critical moment. They used a small elite force to pin down the enemy and then set fire everywhere. The thick smoke not only scared away all kinds of animals, but also made the Tang army lose the strategic initiative. It was said that the commander of this army was a nephew of the great Tang emperor, Li Longji. He had been accustomed to a life of ease, so he wasn't very familiar with war. For some reason, his fighting style had changed, becoming unfathomable. It was impossible to continue north. That kind of cold would not be relieved by the change of season. Coupled with the cold of the late spring, one would die if one went. If they wanted to head west, those high mountains would not be easy to cross, and even if they did, they would probably be met with fierce attacks from the Turks. They would not give the Great Tang an excuse to send a large army to pressure them. There was no need to consider the south. That was the territory of the Tang army. The only place that could temporarily avoid the fire was the east. If they went down the mountain and ran to the coast, the fire could not reach the water. After this consideration, the Blackwater Commander-in-Chief's mansion began to carefully move toward the coast. Fortunately, the sea was still frozen where they were going, so the Tang ships could not get close. Throwing away everything that was in their way and taking only clothes and food, the people of the Suani tribe headed for the seaside. They no longer thought about taking down the Commander-in-Chief's mansion in Bohai Sea, nor did they have any intention of wiping out the entire Tang army. Li Sun, who had been staying by the seaside in the south, had been living quite comfortably for the past few days. Originally, he was worried that they wouldn't be able to win the war, but after seeing Zhang Xiaobeo's follow-up plan, he knew what to do. The hot air balloons on the fleet rose to avoid the smoke and were responsible for patrolling high in the sky. Your Highness, what do you think is so coincidental? Why do all the people in the hot air balloons on the fleet come from Yizhou? If it were people from Shuzhou who flew to such a high altitude, they would be frozen to death, even if they were not scared to death. What a coincidence! Li Sun did not see the plan in Li Sun's hands. It was not about the military, and there was very little about it. Most of it was about the construction after the war. It involved a lot of benefits, and Li Sun did not want others to know about it. Otherwise, he would not be able to benefit much. Hearing Lu Jun's words, the team responsible for protecting Li Sun huddled close to Li Sun and rested. They had the same thought as Lu Jun, which was that this was a good idea. It just so happened that there were people in the fleet who were used to the cold weather. Li Sun glanced at Lu Jun and curled his lips. What coincidence! Do you think everyone is as stupid as you? Didn't you know it was cold when you sent the fleet here? It has already been prepared. No matter what the situation is, it will not be affected. Now, we don't need these 2,000 people. Go up the mountain and grab the things. Don't miss the roe deer, and all kinds of game, including mushrooms and other mountain vegetables. Lu Jun wanted to see the plan in Li Sun's hands, but he knew that His Highness would never give him the chance, so he had to follow the order and arrange it. When he came back, he worriedly advised, Your Highness, should we get on a ship? If the people of the Blackwater Commander-in-Chief's mansion also come to the coast and suddenly rush over from the north, Your Highness will be in danger. I'm just afraid that they won't rush over. It's better if they rush over. Xiao Bao and the others haven't seen if the new weapons they made are good. It's just right to use them on the enemy. The rest of the guards, don't be idle. Go and dig a hole for me. Think about how to avoid the explosion under your feet. Try to calculate the enemy's reaction. Go! Li Sun gave another order. The guards didn't know what the commandery prince wanted to do, so they obeyed and really went to dig a hole. 2 days later, all the holes were dug. None of them were deep, only about half a foot. At this time, Li Sun asked someone to signal the fleet on the sea. The fleet immediately lowered a small boat. When they arrived, the guards saw many iron pancakes. The people who delivered the iron pancakes were very careful when moving them, as if they could take people's lives at any time. Lu Jun looked at them for a while. In the end, he still couldn't figure out what the iron pancakes could do. He asked Li Sun, "Your Highness, can those things kill the enemy?" Li Sun had already moved some distance away from the boat. She worriedly watched as the iron pancakes were placed into the holes that had been dug. She nodded her head and introduced, "Those things are called landmines. Do you know about cannons?" Cannons are used for active attack, while landmines are used for passive defense. So, it's the same as cannonballs. One explosion will kill people. Lu Jun also began to retreat. He knew the power of cannonballs. That's natural, after stepping on it. As long as you raise your foot, it will explode. There's also a trip mine and a hanging mine. The psychological deterrence is far greater than cannonballs. You must be careful. Don't go over after you bury it. Otherwise, even if you have several lives, it won't be enough to kill you. Li Sun only knew about this kind of weapon. He had never seen it in detail, but when he introduced it to others, he seemed to know it very well. Lu Jun didn't doubt Li Sun's words. He also didn't doubt the authenticity of the weapons sent by the Zhang family and Wang family. He pulled Li Sun back and hid, afraid that he would accidentally step on one. Even though he knew that the place where the landmines were buried was very far away from him. A guard stood in front of Li Sun, his body faintly blocking that direction. He curiously asked, "Young master, why did you ask them to catch all kinds of wild animals and collect mountain vegetables?" "Of course it's to make money. In this mountain," Xiao Bao wrote in his letter, "that there are many kinds of resources, especially minerals. When the time comes, it won't be easy for us to occupy them. However, other resources won't be a problem. Animals will run. No matter how big the mountain fire is, it will start from one direction. Most of the animals will run away. Some will run further west, and some will run to our surroundings. Xiao Bao and the others can't continue to pay. Otherwise, the imperial court will think that they want to stretch their hands too far. Sometimes, it will make people jealous." Li Sun had been with Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan for a long time. In addition to the teachings of his family, he understood that what the Zhang family and Wang family needed to do now was not to build up one place after another. What they needed to do now was to avoid making others unhappy. This others referred to his imperial uncle. The guard nodded in agreement. "That's right. The Zhang family and Wang family have made enough money now, and the power they control is not small. If they still want to occupy a place everywhere, they don't know what's good for them. But how can they make money by catching animals?" The other guards also had the same idea. Now, there was no one in Gongji province who did not know about the Zhang family and Wang family. The members of the imperial family who had gone to various places knew about the sphere of influence of the Zhang family and Wang family. If the provincial governors who were in charge of a region did not know about the Zhang family and Wang family, they would really have seen a ghost. The Zhang family and Wang family had been in the limelight for a long time. It was time to hide. Li Sun understood that his imperial uncle could not do without the Zhang family and Wang family. As long as the two families acted appropriately from now on, they could still maintain a balance. In particular, Xiao Bao's letter stated that in the future, when they expanded and occupied territories, the Zhang family and Wang family would not participate and would let others do it. In this way, more people would have too much power to cover up the Zhang family and Wang family. More people would occupy the Blackwater Commander-in-Chief's mansion and the Bohai Commander-in-Chief's mansion. His imperial uncle had to find a way to maintain a balance. Compared to the Zhang family and Wang family, which were easier to control, the new territories that the Tang Empire occupied in the future would be more troublesome. With one less worry in his heart, Li Sun's expression became more natural. He said to the people who still could not figure out why they had to catch so many wild animals and collect wild herbs, "Can the wild animals here be seen south of the Yellow River? I think it's impossible, so we'll catch a few live ones and send them to the capital to raise. As for the rest, we'll kill them and directly make them into cans here. Then, we'll sell them to other places. A can of braised roe deer meat can be sold for 10 strings of coins, and people will fight to buy it. Why is that? The army officer did not understand for a moment. Things are valuable when they are rare. What is identity? Being able to wear clothes that others can't wear and eat food that others can't eat is called identity. I think 10 strings of coins for one is cheap. When the time comes, we'll definitely sell them at a higher price. If we entertain guests at home and can't take out a few cans of roe deer meat, it's shameful. Li Sun suddenly felt that he had become smart. Everyone else was a fool. No matter whether they were really stupid or pretending, at least he felt comfortable in his heart. So, all the animals here can be sold for a lot of money? The army officer thought about it and was very excited. He wondered if he should catch a few more before leaving and show them off when he returned to the south of the Yellow River, or even further south. It would be good even if he could let his family have a taste. This was a treasure. Many animals had never seen it before, let alone eaten it. Lisa nodded and said, "The money earned from this will be used to recruit people from other places. Don't think that a large part of the forest will be burned down. As long as the ashes are nurtured for a year, they will be able to grow food. After plowing and plowing, when Xiaobao and the rest deliver new food, they will be specially used to cultivate seeds." Seeds? New? Is there food that hasn't been seen before? The army officer tried to guess what the new seeds looked like. Of course, if Xiaobao says there will be, then there will be. Moreover, the output will be very high. Even if people don't like to eat it, it can be used to feed more animals. It can also be brewed into wine. After purification, it can be used as firewood. Li Sun once again put the future matters on himself. He felt that he had participated and was also the organizer. Even if no one gave him credit, he thought that he could get a share of the credit. Now the people around him were silent. They all thought about the future and whether what His Highness said was true. In Jili province, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan no longer bothered to think about the situation in Blackwater's commander-in-chief's mansion. The two people's energy was more focused on science and technology. Now, they had written down all kinds of ideas and passed them to the craftsmen from all over the country. It included all kinds of aspects. For some aspects, the two people understood more thoroughly and developed faster. For those that they didn't understand, they gave a general idea and let the craftsmen figure it out by themselves. After meeting Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, the craftsmen who didn't have a high status obviously improved a lot. In addition to being given official titles, the treatment they received was also incomparable to before. According to their own abilities, they were evaluated. The higher the rank, the more salary they could receive every month. At most, they could receive 200 strings of coins a month. Under the temptation of money and the promotion of official positions, the craftsmen worked very hard. If they were interested in a certain aspect, they would dive into it and study it. They wouldn't give up until they had some results. The leaders in charge of various fields, according to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's request, had to gather together once every 10 days to discuss their own achievements in areas that they didn't understand. They could get inspiration from other people's fields and cooperate with each other. More Taoists were also invited. They had nothing to do, so they refined pills. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan didn't eat their pills, but they appreciated their persistence. They personally refined several kinds of pills for them. After using both fire and water methods, the Taoists saw a new world. On this day, after reading the report on the progress of the Industrial Revolution, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan stayed in the room to discuss new things. There are still many Taoists from all over the country who haven't come. Think of a way to trick them. People like them are very useful if we use them well. They already have a lot of knowledge, but they lack a guide. We can't let them continue to pretend to be gods and ghosts. We have to get them into scientific research. Zhang Xiaobao had lost weight recently. He was busy with the matters of the bank and managing the accounts at home. He also had to learn physics and chemistry from Wang Wan and guide the other craftsmen. In addition, he couldn't fall behind on his younger siblings' homework. He didn't have a regular schedule and lost a few pounds. Wang Wan also didn't have it easy. She had to teach various theories to the craftsmen. Many theories required more theories to support and reason. Just the calculation equations of chemistry and physics gave her a headache. It wasn't that she didn't know, but that the craftsmen didn't have a good foundation. She began to explain various symbols, but it involved a very important problem. That was the Tao of heaven. Many craftsmen were more rigid and insisted that the sky was round and the earth was round. In fact, the meridian line had already been measured. Although it wasn't so accurate, it showed that they already knew that the sky wasn't round and the earth was round. Thinking of this, Wang Wan was very helpless. When she heard Zhang Xiaobao say that he wanted to recruit a large number of Taoists, she said worriedly, "If all the Taoists come, the local people will lose a spiritual pillar and will inevitably believe in Buddhism." Speaking of Buddhism, Buddhism is very useful. It involves a philosophy which has the same effect as Confucianism, legalism, and so on. It can strengthen people's hearts, persuade people to do good, and have an effect on mental illness. However, I am very opposed to this Buddhism. I don't see any other effect besides collecting money. Not all the people who believe in Buddhism are kind people, and not all the monks in the temple are compassionate. I am worried that Buddhism will rise again. Zhang Xiaobao frowned. He was really afraid that what Wang Wan said would happen. Once a religion was formed, there would naturally be people to perfect it. As long as there was a philosophy, it couldn't be completely eliminated. Not to mention the ignorance of the people now. Even in the era where he and Wang Wan lived, it was the same. Many corrupt officials took out a lot of money and sent it to the temple, thinking that they could get the protection of the Buddha Lord because of what they did. The temple really accepted it and never asked where it came from. In the end, it became a profession. There were also various black-hearted businessmen who would rather spend tens of millions of yuan to the temple for stability than spend millions of yuan to do something practical. Of course, Taoism was the same. There were also various sects from foreign countries. There was no leader who really had no selfishness. It's very difficult to suppress. Although it's not easy to become a monk now, and there are various tests. So what if you pass the test? Buddhism was passed down from India, but the ones who really perfected it are actually us China people. That kind of sophistry makes people feel very helpless. I've experienced it more than once. Zhang Xiaobao became more and more depressed the more he thought about it. He rubbed his temples and complained. Then let's get Li Longji to destroy Buddhism again and return to the secular world. Wang Wan gave an idea. It's useless. Back then, the Four Olds were so powerful, but what happened in the end? Buddhism is in the human heart. As long as someone wants to use it, as long as someone still believes in it, it will never be destroyed. Actually, the most important thing is the spiritual sustenance of a person. If everyone only believes in themselves and doesn't look for other spirits, then it's simple. But this is impossible, right? Zhang Xiaobao could guarantee that his heart wouldn't change, but he couldn't make everyone in the world think the same way as him. Wang Wan also understood. The reason why people don't believe in themselves is because many people can't summarize a set of systematic theories related to the spiritual aspect. Think of a way. Even if you can't destroy it, you have to limit it and suppress it. Keep a portion of it and use it as a tourist destination in the future. In fact, many of the money earned by the temples back then wasn't all spent by the temples. My party still has its ways. Just like how there are always underworld gangs. If we really want to fight, we can get rid of them in an instant. What kind of money can we use to supplement the tax? I decided to write a letter to Li Longji and ask him to deal with Buddhism. All right, we won't kill them, but we have to limit them as much as possible. For example, Buddhism has to pay taxes, and the land that belongs to each temple has to be rented. Do you think that you can live a comfortable life just because you can recite a few lines of scriptures? Of course, we have to continue supporting those that we should support. For example, we have to make sure that they don't forget to add the imperial authority when they propagate their teachings. If a religion can't serve the ruler, then there's no need for it to exist. The ruler is too much of a failure. Zhang Xiaobao had also made up his mind to give them a sweet date after giving them a slap. Not only Buddhism, all the other sects in Great Tang had to be treated this way. They were not to believe in Tubo at all. Otherwise, it would be troublesome in the future. While Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were busy, Xiao Bei and the others were not relaxed either. They were already officials in Jian and County, but they hadn't been appointed. It wasn't that they didn't want to, but they didn't know how to. Although they had learned a lot from their brothers and sisters, they were at a loss when it came to applying what they had learned. When they were clamoring to be appointed, Zhang Xiaobao didn't stop them. He just asked them to take out a proposal according to their official position. Xiao Bei and the others were immediately stunned. Usually, when they saw their brothers and sisters doing things, they didn't take out any proposal. It was as if the two of them had come up with an idea long ago. They actually asked for a proposal. Hence, Xiao Bei and the others decided to learn more. They didn't want to learn from their brothers and sisters. They felt that it was too big and impractical. Carrying their spring vacation homework in their backpacks, Xiao Bei and the others formed a team and set off in the direction of Idyll County. Making a proposal is a very difficult thing to do. Cheer up, otherwise we'll never be able to become an official. Xiao Bei grabbed the straps of his backpack and walked in the middle of the team. He kept muttering. It was unknown whether he was telling others or encouraging himself. They were looking for craftsman Yan's younger brother and learning from him every day in the yamen. They wanted to learn the skills before the end of the holidays, make a proposal, and become an official. Of course, they had to finish their homework. When they arrived at the yamen and began to participate in the daily matters, Xiao Bei and the others realized that things weren't as simple as they thought. At first, they thought that there weren't many things to do in the yamen. The most interesting thing was to ask for cases. If a citizen wanted to complain, they would beat the drum at the entrance of the yamen and be led in to ask about the case. Then, the bad guys would be punished and the good guys would be protected. In the end, after 5 days, the little guys were dumbfounded. There were cases, but they weren't good or bad people. For example, there were 2 neighboring families. One family's fence was blown down by the wind, and the other family's chickens were crushed to death. Normally, the family whose fence was blown down should compensate the family whose chickens were killed. However, the reason the fence was blown down by the wind was because the drainage ditch of the family whose chickens were crushed to death flowed past the fence. The flock of chickens kept digging under the fence. What is this? Xiao Bei, who wanted to be an impartial official, counted with his fingers but couldn't figure out how to judge this case. In the law, there were no specific rules in this area. If the case was judged according to the law, one side would definitely be at a disadvantage. The chicken farmer could be judged to have destroyed the foundation of the neighbor's house, but the one who complained was the chicken farmer, not the family who crushed the chicken. If the person who fell down the fence harmed the neighbor's poultry, the chicken farmer wouldn't be convinced. Can we judge one family first, then the other? This way, one case will become 2 cases, and each family will be judged separately. Xiao Bei thought hard for a long time before asking Second Yin. Second Yin shook his head and patiently explained to Xiao Bei and the others, being a parent official doesn't mean that you can just figure out the case. What you need to do is to adjust the relationship between neighbors. The law is nothing more than human feelings. If everything is judged according to the law, then it's enough to have a person who is proficient in the law and has a special knife and pen. Then how should we judge? Xiao Bei humbly asked for advice. Second Yin and Wei Wei smiled and asked the 2 families below, Li Si, your chickens were crushed to death. Do you want me to judge your neighbor, Li Fengsheng? County Magistrate Yin, yes. Li Si, who was asked, glared at Li Fengsheng angrily and replied. Second Yin then turned to Li Fengsheng. Do you feel wrong that Li Si destroyed your fence? That's right. Lord, you have to judge for me, Li Fengsheng said. Second Yin nodded. Then I will judge. Li Fengsheng, there is a ditch next to your fence. Did you not know about it? Why didn't you report it if you knew? Today, you crushed a chicken. Who knows, tomorrow, you might crush a neighbor's child. Many chickens don't return to the nest after laying eggs. There are children who go and pick them up. I think you are planning to crush Li Si's child one day. Do you admit to your crime? Li Fengsheng was dumbfounded when he heard this. It was just crushing a chicken. How did it become murder? Second Yin turned to look at Li Si. Li Si, Don't you know that wherever the ditch passes, the foundation of the house will be unstable? You try to frame someone's house. I think you want to cause your neighbor's house to collapse. Do you admit to your crime? Lucy was also frightened. Why did he become a homicide case when he came over to talk about the chicken's death? Guards, take these two into custody. After I finish writing the case, send it to the provincial middle school. Then, I will go to the capital and behead them after autumn. Second Yan's voice continued. Xiao Bei turned and nudged Xiao Yuan. Is there such a thing? Do we need to behead them? Xiao Yuan thought hard and shook his head. He whispered, No, he is making a judgment blindly. Xiao Bei and the others knew, but the two commoners below did not. They did not understand the laws of the Tang Empire. The most they knew was that a life for a life and a debt must be repaid. Seeing that the death of a chicken would cost 2 lives, the two of them were afraid. Li Si was the first to speak. Sir, I won't sue. I won't sue, okay? My chicken was just about to be killed for meat. I still have to thank Li Fangcheng. I will fix the ditch later. Li Fangcheng quickly followed. Sir, I am willing to compensate for the chicken. I have long wanted to fix the fence, but I don't have the time. I will fix it later. That won't do. The two of you must have resentment in your hearts for coming here today. When the time comes, I will have to work hard on this case, Second Yin said with a straight face. Sir, we don't have resentment. We don't have resentment. Actually, the two of us are fine. I will go back and clean up the chicken, make 2 dishes, and drink with Brother Fangcheng. Li Si promised. Li Fangcheng continued. That's right. I will go and buy wine. Brother Li Si's chicken is delicious. Sir, I won't trouble you. The two of them came to an agreement. They wiped their cold sweat and walked out of the yamen with a look of lingering fear. Seeing the two of them leave, Second Yin chuckled and said to the 9 children, Did you see that? As long as there is no injury or death, as long as the loss is not too great, don't judge if you can. If you judge one of them, the other will definitely bear a grudge. If you judge both of them, it will not be easy for you to get along with your neighbors in the future. Who knows what will happen? As an official, you have to judge the situation. It is better to let go of a quarrel than to make a case. Don't think that you can judge casually just because you have learned a lot of law. That kind of official is definitely not a good one. Xiao Bei and the others were shocked. They nodded and finally understood that it was not easy to be an official. They decided to learn from him and become a good official after they learned. Very soon, someone passed the message to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. After reading the contents of the letter, Zhang Xiaobao smiled. It seems that to be a bad official, you have to be more capable than a good official. Once you become a good official, you will be more impressive than an ordinary good official. Isn't that so? This is good too. We can let Xiao Bei and the others learn from others since we can't teach them directly. Do you really intend to let them become officials in Jinan? Wang Wan was also very happy. It was indeed not easy to find such a good official. These 2 brothers were really capable. The elder brother was greedy for money and did research. At the very least, they could govern the place well and then be greedy. She would rather have such an official than be an honest official who had nothing to do with the people. Thinking of the appointment that Xiao Bei and the others got from Li Longji, Wang Wan asked Zhang Xiaobao again. Zhang Xiaobao looked in the direction of Jianan and nodded. Once they have learned enough, let them go. There are not many people there. It's fine to let them go there and play. Even if they have to fork out money to let the remaining people live a good life, I will still give it to them. There's no need to repay me. You could just spoil them. What do you mean by spoiling them? Let them experience more. It's better than learning from us. There are many experiences that need to be experienced by oneself. Zhang Xiaobao shook his head and stopped thinking about his younger siblings. He picked up the map on the table and looked at it again. He asked Wang Wan to analyze where there were more mines. Half a month passed quickly. Xiao Bei and the others had not finished their vacation and continued to learn from Yen Er. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were still waiting for the people they sent out to discover North America and return safely. Li Sun ended his leisurely days. As the weather warmed up, the seawater gradually melted. He was a little emotional when the people from the Blackwater Commander-in-Chief's office did not attack. He wanted to take the initiative to attack. Li Sun carefully looked at the map that was drawn up on the spot. Beside him, the military officer had a serious expression. They are now gathered at the coastal line. They know that I am here, but they don't come to attack. What do you think they are planning? Li Sun pointed at the map. That was where the people from the Blackwater Commander-in-Chief's office were. They had already determined the other party's location through the hot air balloon. Lu Jun came closer and thought about it carefully before saying, "Could it be that he's recuperating from his injuries and is preparing to take us down in one fell swoop after the injured people have more or less recovered?" Recuperating? I don't think so. I suspect that they know that we have gunboats here and don't want to put themselves in a dangerous place. It seems that we need to let the gunboats leave. Pass down my order. Let the gunboats sail to a place where people can't see. The hot air balloon in the sky continues to rise. Li Sun thought about it and issued an order. Lu Jun's mouth moved. He wanted to persuade Li Sun not to put himself in a dangerous place. But in the end, he did not say anything. He also knew that Li Sun's temper was not easy to change. He could only wait for the people from the Blackwater Commander-in-Chief's office to attack and protect them. As the fleet retreated, Li Sun also pretended to leave. He sent all the prey to the fleet, including wild vegetables and other things. Then, he set up camp and slowly retreated. He was right. The reason why the people from the Blackwater Commander-in-Chief's office did not attack them was that they were afraid of being attacked by the gunboats in the sea. After the gunboats retreated, Li Sun also pretended to leave. He immediately reorganized his team and chased after Li Sun. Li Sun had the hot air balloon responsible for reconnaissance. He found the situation early and took a detour to ambush them. When the people from the Blackwater Commander-in-Chief's office were about to enter the minefield, he suddenly rushed out. However, not many people rushed out. Only about 300 people. It was obvious that they were the kind of people who stayed to cover the rear. The people from the Blackwater Commander-in-Chief's office were stunned at first. Seeing so few people, they ordered more than 2,000 people to continue to charge towards the 300 people. They did not know that there were deadly things buried underground. As soon as they entered the minefield, those who were not smart enough were blown up into the sky. Booming sounds were heard one after another. Those who were stunned by the explosion thought that the gunboats were coming back. Therefore, they fled in all directions. Some ran back, some ran in other directions, and some even pretended to be dead on the ground. Apart from the people running towards the back, who were fine, the people running in other directions stepped on the landmines one after another. Amidst the explosions, there was a heart-wrenching sound. This completely shocked the people from the Blackwater Commander-in-Chief's office. They looked around blankly, hoping to find where the enemy was attacking so that they could escape in advance. Li Sun saw the opportunity and ordered the others to bypass the minefield and attack the people from the Blackwater Commander-in-Chief's office. The gunboats in the sea also turned to the north and attacked the gathering place of the Blackwater Commander-in-Chief's office. Due to the high mountains and dense forests, the hot air balloon, which could not play a big role, also began to gather and fly towards the camp of the Blackwater Commander-in-Chief's office. All of a sudden, the people from the Blackwater Commander-in-Chief's office were in chaos. After all, a defeated army was different from an army that was ready to attack the enemy. When Li Sun ordered the troops to rush over, he sent a signal to the 2,000 people who were hiding in the mountains at the beginning to form an encirclement. Not many people were killed by the landmines in the Blackwater Commander-in-Chief's mansion. The main reason was that the effect was too shocking. They died inexplicably, and those who ran back were under a lot of psychological pressure. They directly messed up the formation of their own side. When the enemies from 3 directions converged here, the people from the Blackwater Commander-in-Chief's office no longer had the courage to fight. They left some people to cover the retreat, while the others ran further north with the old and the young, hoping that the Tang army would give up chasing them if they ran far enough. Go after them. We won't kill those who surrender. Li Sun shouted loudly. He wanted to take the lead, but was protected by others. He also shouted along with Li Sun. Those who stayed to cover the retreat and those who were hit by the mines surrendered first because they did not want to die. Li Sun left some people to tie them up and watched them while he continued to chase with the rest. The people from the Blackwater Commander-in-Chief's office were unable to form a formation because of the chaos. Plus, there were the old and the young in the team, so they could not increase their running speed. The more they ran, the more anxious they became. The more they ran, the more tired they felt. Cries came from the team from time to time. The old people who could not run gave up first, followed by the women and the children. The cries and shouts of those who were willing to stay resounded over the beach and the woods. Lee Sun did not chase fast. Every time he got close, he would slow down and watch the old people and the women. There were no children, who were all carried by adults. The chase lasted for half a day. The people from the Blackwater Commander-in-Chief's office wanted to hide after a certain distance, but they could not hide from the hot air balloons flying in the sky. What was more, they thought that they had run out of the Tang Army's sight, but in fact they were still within the range of the Tang Army's telescope. Lee Sun commanded his people to chase for another half an hour. Finally, he could not run anymore. The main reason was that he did not have to catch up with the enemy at one time. Without the thought of fighting to the death, people were easy to slack off. Stop, stop, don't chase, wait for them to run back. If they had run to the north earlier, I really wouldn't have been able to do anything. But who asked them to give me time to arrange? Rest, rest, then face the enemy. Bring the captured people here. The best thing to do is to attack their minds. Lee Sun gasped and put his hands on his waist. He really could not run anymore. Shen Jun had been left behind. Compared with Lee Sun, Shen Jun was much worse. After all, Lee Sun had received training from Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. In fact, the people from the Blackwater Commander-in-Chief's office could not run anymore, but they had to. If they did not run, they would lose their lives. When they found that the pursuers behind them were silent, they cautiously stopped and temporarily reorganized. Many adults were listless, while the children were tired of crying, resting, or sitting on the ground in a daze, waiting for the arrival of an unknown fate. A large number of things were thrown away in the process of running away. Only a few people still had jerky and pancakes. They sent people to look back and found that the Tang army really did not chase, so they began to gather up the edible things to fill their stomachs. Eating a mouthful of dry things and finding unmelted snow as water. The people of the Blackwater Commander-in-Chief's office had a very difficult time eating. After they finished eating, they felt even more tired after running for so long. Suddenly, they heard the sound of killing coming from the north. They struggled to stand up and looked at the road that should have been their escape route. They saw a dense crowd of figures on the hillside in the north. The monarch of the Blackwater Commander-in-Chief's office looked at the less than 10,000 people around him and then looked at the thousands of vigorous Tang soldiers in front of him. He could not summon up any fighting spirit for a while. When the other party was less than 100 steps away from them, they all had helpless expressions on their faces. Where did you run from? The monarch of the Blackwater Commander-in-Chief's office wanted to know why he died. He knew that he could not survive in any case. After all, he had sent people to plot against Li Longji. A person stood out from the opposite side and shouted at the top of his voice, "Run! Why don't you run again? Do you think you know to run north, and we don't know to ambush you first? Well, I'll let you know what's going on." When our Highness retreated, he began to order people to take boats to the ice over there. At that time, the ice had not melted. He sent us to go around the ice to your back. We thought you could launch an attack a few days ago, but we didn't expect you to wait for so long. We almost ate up all the food we brought. Now you're surrounded on all sides and have been on the road for such a long time. I wonder if you still have the strength to fight. Surrender. Our Highness said that those who surrender will not be killed. Except for you, the leader, everyone else will be spared. Hearing his words, the people of the Blackwater Commander-in-Chief's office finally understood what was going on. For a moment, they regretted. If they had not been worried that they would freeze to death in the north, they would not have been surrounded today. As the other side said, they had no strength to fight. They all looked at the monarch and wanted him to make a decision. If they fought, they were not afraid to fight to the last person. Chapter 836. Seeing them caught, Lee Sun vented his anger and said, "You want to play guerrilla warfare with me? Don't you know what I do? You want to assassinate my uncle. If I don't teach you a lesson, where is the dignity of the Tang Empire? Take them away and take them back to the capital as soon as possible. My uncle is still waiting." Well, there are more people waiting. While ordering people to tie up all the people of the Blackwater Commandery and take them to the boat, Li Sun released the pigeons to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. He didn't have the pigeons to the Tang Empire, and the pigeons to Jili Province were brought by the boat. In fact, the best helper should be Shuiyun, which could fly directly to the capital. It had been there several times, and even lived in the capital for some days. But no matter what Li Sun said, Shuiyun did not. Li Sun couldn't beat or scold it. After all, Shuiyun was so smart. He was afraid that it would hold a grudge. Zhang Xiaobao got Li Sun's letter. After reading it, he threw it to Wang Wan and said, "That's good. There should be a part of Russia there. Now they can't take it." Wrong. That part used to belong to the Blackwater Commandery, but it was taken by them later. Send the news to the capital. I believe Li Longji will be very happy. Wang Wan also glanced at the letter. Most of it was Li Sun taking credit for himself, so she ignored it. The carrier pigeon flapped its wings and returned to its home in the capital. Gao Lishur hurried to find the emperor with the letter. "Your Majesty, there is news from Jili Province. The Blackwater Commandery was taken down by Commandery Prince Tang," and Gao Lishur said to the emperor happily. Li Longji was indeed happy. It was not as simple as the Blackwater Commandery's mansion scheming against him. It also involved the surrounding countries that had just agreed to join the Tang Empire. If the Blackwater Commandery's mansion couldn't be taken down, it meant that the Tang Empire's army was not very powerful. If everyone resisted together, they might be able to force the Tang Empire to return to its previous situation. Li Longji was filled with anger when he thought that the participants of the sword competition on Mount Hua would find excuses to stay. They were all waiting for the news from the Blackwater Commandery. After some thought, Li Longji said to Gao Lishur, "Send someone to deliver the letter during the morning court session tomorrow. We will listen to it together with the other prefectures." Gao Lishur understood that the so-called other prefectures were referring to Tufan, Turkic Khaganate, and other places. Their status as vassal states was no longer there. He nodded and left to make arrangements. Li Longji continued to admire the flowers blooming in the greenhouse with Princess Jinsheng. Princess Jinsheng had been living a good life in this period of time. She would take a stroll around the palace every day to understand the current situation in Great Tang and catch up with the people she knew in the past. Right now, her thoughts were no longer on Tubo. The more she understood, the more she felt how powerful the Tang Empire was. That person floating in the unsinkable lake was actually made by someone. There were many animals in the zoo that she had never seen before. From the models, she could clearly see the various places in the Tang Empire. The oven that was used to bake pastries and bread could also be used in Tubo. The eggs that were beaten with an egg beater and mixed with milk tasted very refreshing. From a small place, one could feel how prosperous the Tang Empire was now. Walking on the streets of the capital and seeing the living conditions of the people, it was like heaven and earth compared to Tubo. During the morning court session the next day, Li Longji deliberately asked the others to come to the court session to discuss matters. The people of the surrounding countries did not know that the Blackwater Commandery had been defeated. They did not know why Li Longji wanted them to come to the court session today. Was he going to make things difficult for them again? The morning court discussion lasted for 2 hours. When an urgent report came in saying that the Blackwater Commander-in-Chief's manor had been captured and all of them were going to be escorted back to the capital, everyone finally understood that Li Longji was telling them not to count on the Blackwater Commander-in-Chief's manor to win against the Great Tang. They should just do what they had to do. Li Longji looked at the expressions of the people and was in a good mood. He thought to himself, "You want to see the Tang Empire in action? Dream on. Let's see who else dares to stir up trouble." The officials had also just heard of this matter. The first thing that came to their minds was that Li Sun was quite capable. The second thing that came to their minds was that with such a big place, who was going to govern it if everyone was escorted back? Everyone. Who do you think should be sent over? Li Longji also thought of this problem. If it was based on distance, it would be best to send Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. However, he could not do this. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang clan were already very powerful. If they were any more powerful, even if he did not say anything, the pressure from the officials would not be able to withstand. This was not a good thing for Zhang Xiaobao and Wang clan. The officials looked at each other, but no one said anything. They were thinking that that lousy place was far and cold. If they sent their own people over, it would be no different from being exiled. Official Zhang, how should we arrange it? Li Longji was very dissatisfied with the silence of the officials. This was because he felt that if Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were given that place, they would definitely turn it into a prosperous place. With this comparison, if others were not willing to go, it could only mean that they did not have the ability. If they all wanted to go to a better place, would they not want to work hard to change it? Then what was the future of the Tang Empire? Thus, he stared at Zhang Shua and let him speak. Zhang Shua did not want to be seen by the emperor, but he was standing very close to the emperor. There was no one in front of him, so the emperor looked up and saw him. Seeing that the emperor was asking him, Zhang Shua braced himself and stood up. He looked at Li Linfu, Yu Wenrong, and the others and was about to send them to the Blackwater Commander-in-Chief's manor. However, he paused and gave up on this idea. He felt that the emperor's attitude towards him had been getting worse and worse recently, and his opponent was also trying to cause trouble. If he was really the one who suggested it, what would the emperor think? Would it force his opponent to make a move against him in advance? Of course, he could not mention his opponent, nor could he mention his own people. That would make his subordinates cold. Last time, when he fought with Zhang Zhong, his subordinates were a little uncontrollable. Thinking like this, Wei Wei lowered her head and rolled her eyes. Suddenly, she had a good idea. Your Majesty, this official thinks that we can choose one person from Li Sun or Li Yu to work there. Li Yu has done things steadily in Chongning and has developed the area well. Not only is the economy prosperous, the government is smooth, and he knows how to help the surrounding provinces and counties become prosperous together. This official thinks that if Li Yu is sent to the Blackwater Commander-in-Chief's manor, it will definitely be another Chongning. I believe that it will not take long before that place will become prosperous. Li Sun is the commandery prince of Tongan. I believe that all of us know how to govern Suzhou. He is even more capable and is a member of the imperial clan. We can trust him. This is what this official thinks. Your Majesty, please make a decision. After saying this, Zhang Shua let out a long breath. He felt that he had not offended anyone. As for Li Sun and Li Yu, there was no other way. After all, they were not princes. He believed that the emperor would consider it. Li Longji knew what Zhang Shua was thinking. He was very dissatisfied with Zhang Shua's words. Did he think that governing the country was a child's play? Was it a question of who was taking advantage and who was at a disadvantage? A capable person would be capable no matter where he was placed. Thinking of this, Li Longji did not let Zhang Shua go. He asked him again, how many capable people have come out of Jinjia Academy this year? What do you think? Your Majesty, you can't do that. The people of Jinjia Academy are indeed extraordinary, especially the internal assessment that they have to pass before taking the imperial examination. They are good at managing the people of a region or managing a family in the capital. However, they are too close to the Zhang family and the Wang family. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan are in Jili province. If we send them there, the entire northern Hebei province will be connected by them. It will be difficult to govern at that time. If they are plotting something, before Zhang Shua could finish, Zhang Zhong, who was standing beside him, was unhappy and questioned him loudly. Zhang Shua, who are you saying is plotting something? Zhang Shua also reacted. Usually, Zhang Zhong was always silent in the court, so people almost forgot that he blurted it out. He quickly smiled at Zhang Zhong and said, "Haha, Minister Zhang, I misspoke just now. Sorry, but I said that we can't send the people of Jinjia Academy." Zhang Zhong glared at him and said, "According to what you said, the people of the academies funded by Zhang family and the Wang family, who have been trained by us, can't be sent to the places where our family members are officials as long as they pass the imperial examination, right? Apart from this group of people, the people who have been officials with our family members should also be the same, right? This, Your Majesty, I misspoke again." Zhang Shua was about to refute, but he suddenly saw the emperor's bad expression and quickly admitted his mistake. Li Longji took a deep breath and was silent for a moment. He said, "Since Minister Zhang recommended Li Yu and Li Sun, then I will send Li Yu." When Zhang Shua heard that the emperor agreed to his suggestion, he didn't dare to show the slightest bit of pride. He lowered his head and stood back. Li Longji wrote a decree and sent it to Chongning, which confirmed the appointment. When the morning court ended, Li Longji invited the people of the surrounding state capitals to have lunch together. When the meal was finished, everyone began to leave the capital the next day. They already had a plan in mind. When it was time for Princess Jinsheng and Zuzan to leave, Li Longji sent Gao Lishur to bring them a lot of things. He also specially arranged a dozen palace maids and a group of guards. Zuzan didn't say anything. Originally, Princess Jinsheng had brought along palace maids and guards, but after they went to Tubo, they were slowly dealt with. He knew that he couldn't continue to deal with the people sent this time. Otherwise, he would incur Li Longji's endless anger. When all the things were done, Gao Lishur returned to the palace and found Li Longji. He reminded, "Your Majesty, the governor's mansion of Heishui doesn't seem to be easy to manage. There are no people, and the roads are not smooth. In addition, it's cold, so it's useless for Li Yu to go there. Don't forget that your adopted son is in Jili province. Li Yu will naturally go to Xiaobao and Cuckoo to ask for a plan. Others may not have a solution, but I don't believe that Xiaobao can't do it. If you don't believe me, just take a look." Li Longji didn't have the slightest doubt about Zhang Xiaobao's ability. His words were very firm. "I hope so." Gao Lishur didn't object this time. A few days later, Li Yu, who was enjoying peace in Chongning, received the imperial decree. When he saw the content, he showed a sad expression. He muttered, "How can this be? I worked so hard to make Chongning rich, and now you want to transfer me elsewhere? What about Chongning? Give it to someone else? You're clearly bullying me." Little Worm, who had been Li Yu's advisor, also came over and read the imperial decree. He said, "Your Excellency, there's no one in the governor's mansion of Heishui now. What can we do there? Why don't we write a letter to His Majesty and postpone this matter? Dream on? Chongning is gone just like that. Pack up and take a boat. When we pass by Jili province, ask Xiaobao." Li Yu, who didn't want to leave Chongning, finally decided to leave as soon as possible. "Yes, Your Excellency, we should leave early. The young master of the Zhang family must have a solution. There weren't many families in Jili province back then. Didn't they end up like this when they went there? The earlier we leave, the earlier we can make arrangements." Little Worm also thought of the people they would meet on the way. Li Yu closed his eyes and waited for Little Worm to come back. He asked Little Worm, "Do you think we could trick Xiaobao and Cuckoo? Even if they stay in the governor's mansion of Heishui for 2 months. Your Excellency, it doesn't seem possible. Jili province is to the west of Xinluo, while the governor's mansion of Heishui is to the north of Xinluo. It's also close to Japan. I think the young master of the Zhang family must consider how to scheme against these 2 places, especially Xinluo." Little Worm was a think tank after all. His analysis was clear and logical. "Oh, you're right. Xinluo hasn't made its stance clear. Even if we don't beat him, we should give him some pressure. Xiaobao and Cuckoo can't always stay in Jili province." Li Yu thought carefully and realized that Jili province was too important. Zhang Xiaobao might not be able to spare time. Li Yu packed up his belongings and bid farewell to the people of Chongning with tears in his eyes. He boarded a big boat in a neighboring county and was carried dozens of miles by some strong people of Chongning. Only then did he enter the Yellow River. Touching the 10,000 people form with the handprint of the people of Chongning, he also felt the treatment of a good official. When they entered the Yellow River, their speed was much faster because they were following the current. After traveling for a few days, Li Yu was bored when a boat suddenly appeared in front of them. The boat had a cute rice sprout painted on its flag. Without waiting for Li Yu to call for it to stop, the boat stopped by itself. When Li Yu's boat slowly approached, a person came out from the boat with a bag in his hand. "Greetings, young Master Li. Our young master asked me to give you something and a plan for the construction of the governor's mansion of Heishui. Our young master said that if you don't want to go to the governor's mansion of Heishui, you can use this plan and thing to lure others." The person said respectfully to Li Yu, who was puzzled. At the same time, he put the bag in his hand in front of Li Yu. Li Yu looked at the thing in the bag and the letter with the plan in puzzlement. He laughed and said, "Go, why not? Send a part of the thing to the capital. I'll make those who don't want to go regret it." Chapter 837. Li Yu, who felt that he had been exiled, finally found a chance to hold his head high. He vowed to make those who were unwilling to come regret it. The things in the pouch were very ordinary, so ordinary that ordinary people could afford them even if they wanted to. Li Yu ate a lot. There was venison, beef, pork, and fish. These were the canned food that the Zhang family and Wang family originally prepared for the people of the inner court. When the canned food first appeared, many servants of the big families were envious. Regardless of the taste, at least it warmed their hearts. Later, Li Longji also asked for a lot of canned food and put it in the palace. He would give it to people when he had nothing to do and occasionally eat it himself. For a time, it really became popular. The Zhang family and Wang family did not mainly sell canned food, so they found a lot of merchants to cooperate with. The merchants paid the money and were not responsible for management or production. They were only responsible for the dividends, so the production of canned food gradually increased and the price of the common varieties decreased. Li Yu was holding a can in his hand. What made him happy was not what was in the can, but the packaging. The outermost layer of the can was a paper box. Inside the paper box was a wooden box. The wooden box had a beautiful pattern on it, and the can was at the innermost layer. The can was placed in a groove in the wooden box. The bottom was lined with smooth fur, and the iron was pressed with a yang seal. Look, do not blame the cold for 3 feet, and the delicacies are fairies in the snow. Product, Northern Mountain Beyond Mountain. There was also an exquisite can opener with a sharp blade and a smooth wooden handle. The words Beyond Mountain were carved on it. Seeing this packaging, Li Yu thought of a phrase, "Buy the casket and return the pearl." Not to mention whether the taste was better or worse than the Zhang and Wang family special canned food. Just the packaging alone was enough to give people a lot of face. They could invite 3 or 5 friends to sit in the corridor and listen to songs and eulogies. When they were hungry, they could take the canned food out. It had to be 30% more elegant. Li Yu opened a can and tasted it. He smacked his lips twice and felt that there was an indescribable taste. He looked at the person who delivered the can in confusion. The person who delivered the canned food was Zhang Wang from the inner courtyard. Naturally, he was good at reading people's expressions. Before Li Yu could ask, he introduced, "Young Master Li, this can contains roe deer meat." In order to get rid of the fishy smell, it was smoked with pine wood before it was canned. There's a rosin smell in it. Yes. Now that you mention it, I can taste it. It tastes like pine oil. How much is it? Li Yu took another bite. Sure enough, it tasted like pine oil. The one in your hand costs 10,000 copper coins, and the one below costs 500,000 copper coins. They can't be sold directly. They need to be custom-made, and the quantity is limited. We only accept 10,000 sets every year. The person from the inner court explained. It's really expensive. According to previous calculations, it's 10 strings of coins and 50 strings of coins. Is this box more expensive? Li Yu took out a bigger box from his pocket and asked. You don't need the box. You don't need to pay for the canned food. What you're holding right now is a small bottle of wine brewed with ginseng, velvet antler, and other precious herbs. It's also stored in a glass bottle. The person from the inner court was careful and didn't give Li Yu a chance to ask for the box. Li Yu didn't care and opened the other package. There was indeed a bottle of wine inside. There were a lot of medicinal herbs written on it. He didn't know if they were really put in. Well, let's see how regretful they are. Well, since we only sell 10,000 cans a year, it doesn't seem like we earn much. The governor's mansion of Haishui is a large area. Even if we don't use a single copper coin, it's only 500,000 strings of coins. That's equivalent to the land of several provinces. Li Yu felt that he earned too little again. Young Master Li, it's said to be 10,000, but when it's done, it might not be 10,000. Each can has an individual number, but it's not the one that counts next to each other. It's the pinyin alphabet used to mark the pronunciation. It's a very long string. Who knows which one it is? Don't you agree? Yes, there's no such thing as a businessman. Liu admitted that he couldn't compare with Zhang Xiaobao in this aspect. He asked people to send the other cans to the capital on the ship, especially to the high-ranking officials. He slowed down and headed for Jili Province. When Liu arrived at Jili Province and met Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan to discuss the follow-up plan, the cans had already reached the hands of the officials in the capital. The exquisite packaging and unique taste immediately won the praise of the officials. When the pigeons that Liu released from Jili Province flew to the capital and reported the various mines of the governor's mansion of Haishui, the officials who didn't want to send their own people to the governor's mansion of Haishui all regretted it. It turned out that the governor's mansion of Haishui wasn't barren. The people of the governor's mansion of Haishui didn't have a good idea. They used to beg for food with a golden bowl. When they regretted it, they began to propose to the emperor to send more people to help with the construction. As for the problem of population, they thought that Liu could solve it. Li Longji knew that the idea was Zhang Xiaobao's. Gao Lishi's letter described the matter in more detail. The governor's mansion of Haishui didn't ask people to take the initiative to migrate. They only recruited employees from Tubo. They could bring their families and do things on the ship. When they reached the shore, they would build warehouses and houses on the shore. Naturally, there would be people who were willing to go down and stay. While weakening the strength of Tubo, they could also enrich the governor's mansion of Haishui. Therefore, when he heard that the officials wanted to continue to send people, Li Longji didn't object. Not only did he send officials, he also wanted to find merchants from all over to cooperate with them. He also wanted to connect the Niha River and the Niha River at the border with Xinlua. It was convenient for ships to travel, and they didn't need to go around Xinlua Island. When the officials made a suggestion, they had to think of a way to send merchants who were related to them. Even if they weren't related, they had to think of a way to make connections. Does everyone agree? Seeing that the matter was almost done, Li Longji asked another question. The people led by Zhang Shua nodded. Their political opponents also agreed. Since that's the case, then we'll wait for the merchants to find them and talk to Liu about the cooperation in detail. The imperial court will use the entire governor's mansion of Haishui as a shareholder. The land and resources there will be considered as an investment. Tomorrow, everyone will decide on the merchants who will participate. Li Longji finally said something that stunned all of the ministers. If the imperial court used land and resources to invest, how much would others have to pay? And what was the proportion? This was a problem. Chapter 838. In a dream, the flowers do not bloom. The wind blows the catkins to the immortal platform. Ask the gentleman to travel thousands of miles drunk, not the heavenly palace, but Penglai. Ever since Liu submitted a letter to the imperial court and sent away many-kin food, he started to get busy. Some of his brothers wrote to ask about the specific situation of the Black Water Commander-in-Chief's mansion. Naturally, they did not ask about Liu, but wanted to get Zhang Xiaobao's detailed plan from him. They did not believe that Zhang Xiaobao's actions would be as simple as they seemed on the surface. Otherwise, Xiaobao would not be Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao himself did not know that he had another nickname, Jilian Huan. In many people's hearts, he was already a godlike existence. There's a nursery rhyme that said, "Millionaire, make a lot of money, the top ranking is hard and hard. Hard and hard. You have to be humble, the top of the sky beyond heaven." Sky beyond heaven. Sanshui City, Sanshui Zhang family had a man. Jumping out of the 5 elements, not in the 3 realms. Seeing that he did not speak of a scheme within a scheme, he used a chain of schemes. Zhang Xiaobao's reputation spread like this. It was said that the current emperor complained when he was drunk one day in Xingqing Palace. His desolation could not be described in words. Whether it was true or not was still to be verified. Liu's brothers and sisters replied to his letters one by one. His blood brothers and cousins came to him one by one, and he also had quite a number of cousins. Adhering to the idea of making money together and helping each other when it was difficult, Liu boasted about the future development of the Black Water Commander's mansion. In addition to those close to him, There were also capable officials and connected businessmen in the capital. They all contacted Li Yu because of Zhang Xiaobao's name, hoping to get a share of his soup. Li Yu told others according to Zhang Xiaobao's plan, but in his heart, he always felt that Zhang Xiaobao still had a backup plan. When he saw the plan, he thought that it was almost done, but the little worm found him and told him that it was not so simple. According to the plan, one was to transfer other people to the Blackwater Commander-in-Chief Manor to weaken their cohesion, develop the Blackwater Commander-in-Chief Manor's mineral resources, hunt wild beasts, collect medicinal herbs, and make the Blackwater Commander-in-Chief Manor rich. It was to facilitate the transportation of merchant ships to and fro, to connect the Mud River, and to cut the journey short. After reading the plan, Little Worm said to Li Yu, "Sir, what do you think of Chongning?" Li Yu was puzzled. "Well, I was the one who developed it, but now I'm giving it to someone else." In Xiao Bao's words, it's like picking peaches. Fortunately, Imperial Uncle asked people to pick the peaches and gave me a bigger piece of land to plant peaches. What does this have to do with Xiao Bao's plan? Of course. Think about it, Your Excellency. Chongning is just a county, while the Blackwater Commander-in-Chief's mansion has several provinces under its jurisdiction. Chongning is the young master of the Zhang family. At that time, there was nothing to develop in the county. It was only after the young master of the Zhang family came up with one plan after another that Chongning became what it was today. Since the young master of the Zhang family was able to come up with so many plans for a county, what more for several provinces? If that was the case, Zhang Xiaobao wouldn't be the Zhang Xiaobao we know, and he wouldn't be in existence that surpasses the top-ranking list. This humble one thinks that things can't be as simple as the plan in front of us. What do you think, Your Excellency? Little Worm had analyzed Zhang Xiaobao's plan for Chongning for Li Yu, and then compared it with the Blackwater Commander-in-Chief's mansion's territory. He voiced his conjecture. Li Yu slapped his thigh hard, ignoring the pain, and said loudly, "That's right. Now that you mention it, I remember that Zhang Xiaobao's plans for the surrounding areas have always been continuous. For example, Xinyuan Island, he still has a backup plan. For example, Japan, the silk we collected is now being used there. For example, Tubo, after a few years of torment, he still hasn't relaxed. A few days ago, the Turks have voluntarily submitted to him, the kind that is different from before. Now that the Blackwater Commander-in-Chief's mansion has just been conquered, the people have moved to the capital to wait for the Imperial Uncle's decision. And to go there, they have to go through Xinluo. How can Zhang Xiaobao not have some ideas? No wonder I keep feeling that something is missing. Let me go ask." Having made up his mind, Li Yu hurriedly went to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were spreading out a piece of paper, writing and drawing. Li Yu curiously went up to take a look and saw that it was a large snow scene. Wang Wan was drawing seriously, and Zhang Xiaobao was mixing the colors. Li Yu squatted beside Zhang Xiaobao and whispered, "Xiaobao, what are you playing at?" Not telling you means not telling you our follow-up plan. Since Little Worm can tell you about Chongning, you can ask him and see if he can figure it out. Zhang Xiaobao said casually to Li Yu, but Li Yu was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat. He looked at Zhang Xiaobao in horror, not knowing how Zhang Xiaobao knew that it was Zhang Xiaobao who told him. Zhang Xiaobao glanced at Li Yu and said, "Little Worm is quite capable, but he has a shortcoming, which is that he always shows his thoughts on his face. During the days in Jili province, every time I see him, his expression is too obvious, always giving people the feeling that he wants to say something but then hesitates. You're not busy with your own things and have the time to come here. It must be because I told you the final plan yesterday. Little Worm, who always likes to guess what I told you, otherwise you wouldn't have the ability to think so much. You need to train Little Worm more. Come, look at this Rhyme River painting. What do you think? You can guess other people's thoughts just by looking at their faces? Your plan is finished? Start drawing for fun?" Li Yu was slightly relieved to hear Xiaobao's explanation, but he was still very surprised. "You can't learn this skill. Who said it's for fun? Didn't you come here to ask about the plan? This painting is a plan. When it's finished tomorrow, you will have things to do." Zhang Xiaobao added some water to a box of ink and brought it in front of Wang Wan, so that Wang Wan could apply some light ink. Li was even more confused. Seeing that Zhang Xiaobao didn't say anything, he could only watch patiently. Looking at the ink, it seemed that she had been painting for a few days and didn't finish it in one breath. The painting was too big and tiring. Now that the painting was almost finished, it looked good, but he didn't know what it had to do with the plan. Wang Wan painted for a while more, then handed the brush in her hand to Zhang Xiaobao. She picked up another brush, paused for a moment, and then began to write on the completed painting. The flowers of the northern kingdom bloom and disappear. Floating clouds fall from the 9 heavens. The river water is soft, and the snowy mountains are painted with frost. Brewing wine, swords are like rainbows. Brewing tea, people at the border are like jade. One is not a hero until he reaches the northern kingdom. Looking back on last night, the wind came. When Liu looked at the painting, he thought it was very beautiful, but when he saw Wang Wan writing, he was shocked. He whispered, "Is it very dangerous over there? Why does it feel like going to the Blackwater Commander-in-Chief's mansion is like going to a hero and not coming back? It's not dangerous. It's just a saying. That's the real place to go for skiing and skating. How many heroes and heroes have actually gone there? If you exaggerate, when people go there and realize that it's not that dangerous, you can brag to others when you come back. For example, you can make a ski slope that's a few hundred feet long and not too steep. You can name it Heroes Snow Road. When you go there, you'll realize that even children dare to skate down a wooden plank." Zhang Xiaobao explained to Liu. Liu nodded. "Oh, it's a lie. Chill. I'm not lying to anyone. It's really cold there. You find a way to find a woman from the brothel there. Find someone who's not afraid of the cold. It's okay if her skin is a little darker. She'll be white after a while. Now your task is to go to Penglai, Hunan province. Take this painting and advertise that the Northern Kingdom is the place for immortals. Let people refute. It's best to make it look like they're about to fight." Zhang Xiaobao pointed to the south. Liu continued to nod. "Should we let people go there together and then compare which side is better? When we compare, even if we can't say which side is better, the Blackwater Commander-in-Chief's mansion will be famous." "Okay, I'll go." Go. It's best to find more literati and bring them to the Blackwater Commander-in-Chief's mansion. If they can write a few famous works, we can post a notice and offer a big reward." Zhang Xiaobao dried the ink on the handwriting, rolled up the painting, and handed it to Liu. Then, he waved his hand at him. Liu pursed his lips solemnly. He really looked like he would never return. He walked out. When he reached the door, he suddenly remembered something important. He stopped and turned his head to ask, "I haven't told you the plan yet. It's definitely not as simple as a painting. I'm afraid that you won't keep your mouth shut." In fact, it's not a big deal. Ships travel between the Blackwater Commander-in-Chief's mansion and Penglai. No matter how Xinlua goes around, it will stick to it. Some people who want to get close will directly cross the Mud River. Some who are willing to enjoy the scenery will go around Xinlua. They can even disembark on the shore and pass through Xinlua on land to experience the local life. At that time, I'll organize a tourism agency and find a suitable place to build a house along the coast of Xinlua. Then, I'll help Xinlua build a road that crosses the northeast and southwest. I'll do business on both sides of the road so that it's convenient for people to rest and shop. If the people of Xinlua dare to bully the people of the Great Tang, I'll have an excuse to beat them up. If they don't bully and get used to interacting with the Great Tang, I can arrange for the people of the Great Tang to buy land and live there. Build more boats and let people go to the seaside around Xinlua to play. Build more shops and send the things of the Great Tang to be sold there. Let them get used to the clothes of the Great Tang, get used to the food of the Great Tang, get used to the culture of the Great Tang, get used to the clothes of the Great Tang, get used to the food of the Great Tang, and get used to the culture of the Great Tang. Zhang Xiaobao counted with his fingers as he spoke to Liu. Liu finally understood. Zhang Xiaobao wanted to stab people with a soft knife. It was related to the issue of sovereignty. "I know. I'll definitely keep a secret. Xiaobao, you're really something. Others are just trying to get some money to spend, but you're planning to take over the country. I hope I can see that day in my lifetime." Liu felt that the burden on his shoulders was heavier. Regardless of whether he succeeded or not, at least he was very excited in his heart. He shook his head, carried the painting scroll, and strode out of the door. Zhang Xiaobao craned his neck and waited for Li Yu to walk away. Then he said to Wang Wan, "Why do I feel like he's carrying a dynamite to blow up a fort? Come on, don't mock people. Li Yu is a good comrade with ideals, but I also feel that he wants to be heroic. Don't ruin the painting I painstakingly painted." Wang Wan also came over and looked at Li Yu's back. Li Yu knew the importance of his task. He took a boat to Penglai as quickly as possible and went straight to the Blue Sea Silver Sand restaurant. He asked someone to frame the painting and hang it in a conspicuous position. Then he began to look for people to make trouble. He also posted a notice and offered a large reward. Any scholar who knew and liked snow could write a poem about snow. Once selected, they would receive at least $10,000. Once the notice was posted, there were quite a few people who wanted to earn $10,000. For many people, it was not just a matter of money. Once they were selected, they might become famous because of it. That was the most important thing. In the past, there were many people who came to Penglai. Now, there were even more people passing by. They were all businessmen who wanted to get some benefits from Heishui Commandery. Some of them even had official backgrounds. When there were more people, it would be chaotic. Many businessmen picked the bigger ones from the smaller ones and found people who were slightly more capable to organize others. On this day, a group of people came from Huainan Dao. Many people in Huainan Dao were soldiers in Jili province. They occasionally wrote letters back and knew that Jili province was good, especially those whose family members were soldiers in Jili province. When they received benefits from the local shops of Zhang Li and Wang every month, they were not only envious, but also jealous. Today, more than 400 people from a province had just arrived in Penglai. They want to go to Jili province to see if they could find a job. If not, they would go to Heishui Commandery. These people thought that Governor Zhang and Adjunct Wang, who could build Jili province well, could also guarantee the interests of Heishui Commandery. As soon as they received the news, they left their hometown and rushed here as fast as they could. Fortunately, the waterway was smooth. They arrived in Penglai in 2 months. The discipline of these 400 people was much better than that of other places. The leader was a person surnamed Su, called Su Gui. His family was also a small local family. He organized this group. When they arrived in Penglai, everyone wanted to see the mirage. Unfortunately, the weather was not good today. It was foggy and they couldn't see anything. Su Gui inquired about the price of the inns in Penglai. They were very expensive. Since there were many outsiders, the price naturally rose. Now that the weather was warm, he was reluctant to spend more money. He was going to find a spacious place to camp in the wild. He knew that he was not good enough, so he had to find his brother-in-law or son-in-law. Thinking of his son-in-law, Su Gui's mood was very complicated. He looked down on this son-in-law who was like marrying into the family. However, he felt that this son-in-law was a little capable and talented. He had helped a lot along the way. However, this son-in-law had a little problem. He always liked to drink. His alcohol tolerance was not high. He drank too much and then made nonsense poems. Go and ask him and see what he says. Su Gui, who had made up his mind, found his brother-in-law who didn't forget to take a sip of wine when he was resting. Tai Bai, because there are many people in the inn, the price is high. Is there any way to find a place to settle down? Su Gui found his brother-in-law and asked his brother-in-law who had just put down the wine gourd and looked at a place in a daze. Tai Bai didn't seem to hear it. He took another sip of wine and continued to be in a daze. Su Gui had to repeat it loudly. This time, Tai Bai woke up. He looked at Su Gui and suddenly laughed. It doesn't matter. Penglai immortals saw my face and lent me a brush, ink, and gold inkstone. A word is worth 1,000 coins. Good wine and delicious food. Inviting fairies, singing without stopping, drinking 300 jars, not getting drunk, walking on the East Sea, leading the giant turtle, sleeping on the beautiful carpet, the mirage railing, the pen is still not dry. Su Gui frowned. This brother-in-law of his should be drunk again. What splendid felt. Quickly find a place to shelter from the wind. It would be a good thing if he fell ill from the cold at night. Tai Bai, have you thought about where to live? Su Gui touched his brother-in-law again and asked. His brother-in-law, Tai Bai, drank the rest of the wine, smacked his lips twice, pointed to the biggest in front of them, and said, "Tonight, we will live in Bihai Insha." Chapter 839. Bo, Mita Ba 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 You. Immortal Palace Song, Night Chant. Tai Bai, listen to me, I beg you, change a place, there's a shop on the left, go there are a few people in his shop. Even if we offend him, he won't dare to do anything to us. More than 400 people. You can't go to the Blue Sea Silver Sand, you can't go there, Tai Bai, let my family go, please. Su Gui pulled his brother-in-law with all his strength and begged, but he was slowly dragged by his brother-in-law to the Blue Sea Silver Sand. My husband, the Blue Sea Silver Sand also has shops in a province. It is said that they're all over the Tang Empire, and it is as famous as Between the Clouds and the Water. Some people even say that both are backed by the Zhang family and the Wang family. Their family recruited more than 400 people to seek a way to make money, and if they offend the Zhang family and the Wang family, we can't stop them. Seeing that her brother was not as strong as her husband, Madame Su also went to persuade him. Among the more than 400 people gathered here, those who knew the situation showed anger on their faces. Li Bai is too unreasonable. He wants to die, but he wants to implicate us. I don't know what the Su family did to find such a son-in-law, Sai. The people around nodded and echoed, their voices buzzing. Li Bai, who was about to find a good place for the 400 people, stopped when he heard the noise. He turned his head and stared at the person who made the noise first until the person lowered his head. Then he snorted and said, "You are a benefactor. You don't have to bear the anger of others, humph." The person who made the noise just now lowered his head. He knew that Li Bai was scolding him. On the way here from in province, Li Bai had been helping to organize. When they met, he always said that he met Li Bai, that he met a benefactor, but others said that he was a fickle villain. Su Gui's face was also hot. He said to Li Bai embarrassedly, "Tai Bai, I didn't think so, but the Blue Sea Silver Sand is unusual. Have you heard of anyone who dares to make trouble at the Blue Sea Silver Sand? How can we let more than 400 people live in the Blue Sea Silver Sand for nothing?" Zhang Wang is noble, like the convergence of the sea, not tired of the trickle of water. Today, the solid has become great. The Zhang family and Wang family are wise. Now, I will put up a bounty. I will help my fellow villagers find a home. Li Bai looked at the banner hanging outside the restaurant that offered a reward for writing poems and essays, and then walked forward. Su Gui wanted to stop him again, but his sister stopped him. "Brother, let her husband try. Maybe, even if he doesn't succeed, the Jade Sea Silver Sand will not stoop to our level." Sighed. Su Gui sighed. In the end, he did not continue to drag Li Bai. He watched as his brother-in-law strode into the Blue Sea Silver Sand with his head held high. In the time it took to drink a cup of tea, the sky was covered with dark clouds, and the wind was blowing, threatening to destroy the city. Su Gui had an anxious expression on his face. He told the people from his hometown not to wander around, so as to avoid causing trouble. Smelling the salty smell of the wind, he looked at the Blue Sea Silver Sand restaurant from time to time. Mrs. Su was also anxious. She was afraid that her husband would be detained in the restaurant if he was careless. Although there had never been a case of bullying in the Zhang family and Wang family's restaurant. After a while, the sky became darker and the wind became weaker. Suddenly, there was a crackling sound around. Everyone felt that it was easier to breathe, and raindrops appeared on their faces. At this moment, 4 waiters came out of the Blue Sea Silver Sand restaurant. They looked at Su Gui's direction and hurried forward. One of them asked, "Are you the Su family of Anzhou?" "That's right, young man." "Did Taibei jinxing cause trouble in the building? If he broke something, we are willing to compensate." Su Gui's heart skipped a beat. He thought that something had gone wrong. He put his hand into his sleeve to feel for money. He could not leave his brother-in-law alone. "Sure enough, it is Mr. Su. Mr. Su, His Highness has asked for you. The people who came with you have already made room. You can rest at any time. Mr. Su, do you want them to settle you down now?" The waiters confirmed the identity and invited Su Gue. They pointed to the courtyard behind the blue sea silver sand and waited for Su Gue to make a decision. Su Gue suddenly found that everything around him was far away from him. He was the only one standing between heaven and earth. He turned and turned until the sun and moon lost their light. He was in a daze. His body swayed twice before he found that he had returned to the mortal world. The sky was still the same, but the rain was heavier. "Is my husband, Tebe, okay?" Su was calmer than her brother. She stepped forward and asked. The waiters were told to be polite. They looked at Su and said with a smile, "Are you the young lady of the Su family? Young Master Li is talking happily with His Highness Li Yu. The rain is heavy now. Can you take shelter first?" "Please, young man." Su heard that her husband was fine. She was relieved and made the decision. More than 400 people were divided into 6 courtyards in confusion. It was a little crowded, but they settled down. Su Gue, who had recovered, carefully told the people who followed him to control their food. The food in the blue sea silver sand was good, but they should not get sick. They should not do things they should not do. They should not break other people's things. They should not go out casually. They should be polite to the people in the restaurant. After all this, Su Gue followed his sister upstairs to see how his brother-in-law was doing. He did not want to offend the people in the imperial family by drinking too much. When the two of them were brought to the 3rd floor by the waiter, they walked up another floor. When they arrived at the highest room in the entire restaurant, they heard a familiar clanking sound coming from inside. It sounded like someone was knocking on plates and bowls with chopsticks. Before the waiters went to knock on the door, 2 people sang from inside. "Thunder rolls on the windowsill. The heavy rain carries me to the blue sky. Peng Lai has 1,000 cups of wine. The immortals eat outside the mountain. Calling my heart, flying across 9,000 mountains on a crane, confusing my eyes. When I wake up, I am drunk, and when I am happy. Rhyme does not belong to the mortal world. This is Chang, Yi's face in the moon, stepping on the snow without any trace, waving my hand to plant a green lotus. Tai Bai drink. Today's wine is hidden by Xiao Bao for 7 years. I am happy. There's another jar. Let's drink it. I'm so annoyed these days. When the Blackwater Commandery was not famous, no one was willing to come here. After the canned food and several mines appeared, people rushed to come here. Drink." Su Gue and Su stood outside and listened to the singing. They did not dare to go in and disturb them. At this time, they heard a voice. It seemed that the speaker was not old. The waiters did not lock the door. They guessed that the 2 people inside were almost drunk. They quietly opened the door and motioned Su Gue and Su Gue to go in. He turned around and went downstairs. It was very dark under the dark clouds. There were no candles in the room. Only the flashes of lightning outside occasionally illuminated the whole earth. Su Gue and Su Gue stood close to the wall and did not say anything. They just watched. They saw a man about the same age as Tai Bai, holding a bowl in his hand. He was complaining. Madame Su watched as her husband sat across from that person and drank as well. There were a few cans on the table, and there was a smell of meat that was neither braised nor smoked. It smelled very fragrant, and it should be the canned food that she had only heard about on the way here, but had never seen before. Tai Bai, don't you think that those people are too unreasonable? Eat. This bamboo tube contains flying dragon. It is about the same size as a chicken, but smaller than a chicken. It tastes good. Before I came here, Xiao Bao personally cooked it for me. Ordinary people can't eat it. Come, drink the wine in the bowl, and then pour it. Li Yu's eyes were blurred, but he did not forget to drink and eat. Li Bai was almost drunk. In a short time, the 2 people drank 3 pounds of wine in a very small jar. The jar was engraved with the words, "Specially provided." Next to it, another jar had just been opened. It seemed that he was ready to drink. Su Gue sniffed and whispered to his sister, "Good wine. It is soft but not greasy, strong but not hot. Tai Bai is going to enjoy it." At this time, Li Bai drank the wine according to Li Yu's words. He picked up a flying dragon, took 2 bites, spat out a bone, and poured the wine again. Then he grabbed a washed cucumber dipped in sauce and took a bite. With a happy expression, he echoed Li Yu and said, Mediocre people in the world are troublesome. It is good to drink in a golden cup. People's hearts are difficult. Far away, drink and laugh. Macho, macho, I'll help you. Drink, what wine is this? It's delicious. Liu was tongue-tied and muttered, pure barley wine, 7 years in the cellar. The wine made by the Zhang family and Wang family has been in the cellar for 12 years at most. There's a lot of wine, but they don't take it out for others to taste. Tai Bai, my task is to find more people to write poems in Palai. Those who write well will travel with those who draw well, and then write when they come back. Help me write a few more poems, and I'll introduce you to Xiao Bao and Cuckoo. They are busy and have no time to write poems. Okay, drink. Sleepwalking is dark, but the water is not dark. White snow is decorated with red plum blossoms. Fairies can't help but fall into the pot. They make a pile of mistakes in the human world, suddenly smelling a fragrance. They come on the clouds and are unwilling to return. In the 9th day, the gong calls 10,000 times, leaving the purple flute and jade people blow. Li Bai rarely had a chance to contact the upper-class people. Naturally, he worked hard. After a few words, he drank half a bowl of wine. The wine that he drank first came back. He put his legs on the chair next to him, grabbed the back of the chair with one hand, and held the empty bowl with the other. He narrowed his eyes and looked at the rain outside the window. It was getting heavier and heavier. He didn't say anything for a long time. Liu didn't want to disturb him. He drank slowly and tried to remember what Li Bai said just now. When he felt that he couldn't remember, he said to the people outside, someone asked some girls to come in and sing. Great talent. I met a great talent. When a few women came in from outside, they curiously looked at the two people standing against the wall and sang what Li Bai had just said. Liu drank the wine in his bowl and shouted a few times to the beat. When he wanted to pour more wine, he found that there were double images everywhere. Just now it was one Tai Bai. Now it's two. It means that I drank too much. I can't drink anymore. Tai Bai, Tai Bai. Li Ji murmured incoherently. In his last moments of consciousness, he called Li Bai twice. Then, his head fell on the table, and he fell into a deep sleep. The bowl in Li Bai's hand also fell down and hit the table with a soft sound. Then, both of them fell silent, leaving only the women singing over and over again in the rain. The next morning, Liu opened his eyes and saw that he was lying on the bed. Beside him was a servant girl. She was guarding the charcoal stove and pouring water into the pot. How many years have I been drunk? Liu still hadn't recovered from the scene of drinking with Li Bai yesterday. He kept talking in an exaggerated manner. The servant girl laughed and replied, Young Master Li, are you asking about the immortal palace or the mortal world below? Since you're awake, try the hangover soup made by the Queen Mother of the West. After drinking it, you'll wake up. Thank you, fairy. What about Li Bai? Liu took the soup the servant girl brought over and took a sip. It was neither cold nor hot. He raised his head and drank it all. Immortal Li went to the Dragon Palace. He left a message for you. The servant girl picked up a piece of paper from the small table and handed it to Liu. Liu took a look. Sure enough, it said, Jin Yuliang of the Dragon Palace of the East Sea invites me to drink. After 10,000 cups of wine, I return on the waves. The Phoenix girl wears a red dress on the West Mountain. You can drink more than me. Liu rubbed his stomach and asked the servant girl to help him put on his clothes. He went outside to take a look. Your Highness, is Tai Bai here? Liu walked out for a while and met Su Gue, who was looking for him anxiously. Yesterday, the two of them drank too much and were carried away by the servants. Su Gue and Liu didn't intervene. They planned to leave today for fear that they would delay things. Liu handed the paper left by Li Bai to Su Gue and said, he went to the beach to drink and will come back at sunset. He said on the paper. Su Gue looked carefully and whispered, Your Highness, what did it say on the paper? So stupid. Do you really think he can go to the Dragon Palace of the East Sea? He went to the beach in the east to drink and will come back at sunset in the West Mountain. I already know that you are from a province. Don't worry. After Tai Bai stays for a few days, I will take you to Jili Province. I will ask Xiao Bao to arrange a good job for you in Blackwater. Oh, I will be in charge of Blackwater's governor's mansion in the future. I will arrange it. If it weren't for Li Bai, Liu wouldn't have said so much to Su Gui. Peng Lai was not a place he was in charge of, so he didn't need to be so kind. He still had to put on airs. Su Gui also understood that the status gap was a little big, so he didn't dare to ask more. He thanked him again and hurried to the place where more than 400 people lived. He told them the good news, otherwise they would always be worried. Once Su Gui was far away, Liu shook his head, which was still a little confused. As he walked back, he said, "I met a great talent. I have to write to Xiao Bao and Huan Huan to tell them." Children were playing, and the mountains were noisy. The sun shone through the thin fog. The dew and green leaves hung their heads shyly, and the green grass and flowers were delicate. The tea house by the road was boiling warm water. Suddenly, people waved and laughed. On the mountain outside Inian County in Jili Province, Xiaobei led a large group of people. She carried a bamboo basket on her back and carried tools in her hand. Early in the morning, she began to pick 2 kinds of wild vegetables, root vegetables and cat ears. When the sun was high in the sky, she came back with a full harvest. The people behind her helped her pick up the wild vegetables from time to time. When she arrived at the tea stall at the intersection, Xiaobei, who was full of strength just now, did not do anything. She took out a small note from her bag and didn't let the people make tea. She just watched the people in the tea stall wash the bowls and pour a bowl of water for each of them. She breathed hard and tried to drink it. Today we're going back to the prefecture. After my brother and sister finish the examination, we will go to Jinan province to be officials and pick vegetables. Then we will ride a horse and go back to ask my brother to make a root vegetable box. Xiaobei, who was thinking about being a parent official, began to assign tasks after she was no longer thirsty. Everyone immediately got busy at the tea stall. Everyone was very serious. Even Xiao Hai, who did not care much about things, was looking forward to what would happen after he became an official. When a group of little guys finished picking the wild vegetables and left enough for the people in the tea stall to eat, it was already afternoon when they rode back to the prefecture. A carrier pigeon flew from Peng Lai along with them. Zhang Xiaobao first comforted his brother and sister, asked them to rest and eat the box at night. Then he took the letter and went back to the room with Wang Wan to read it. Opening the letter, Zhang Xiaobao glanced up and suddenly froze. He and Wang Wan, who also saw the letter, looked at each other and said tacitly, "Li Bai jumped out? What do you mean by jump? Li Bai is not young." Wang Wan refuted Zhang Xiaobao. "You just said it. Why did he go to Peng Lai? It seems that it will not take too long to see him. Many people praise him. Do you think he will ask for an official position from us?" Zhang Xiaobao also had a little yearning for this figure. It was not that Li Bai had a lot of prestige now, but after all, he was a legendary figure. He could not meet him for too long. Wang Wan nodded and said, "Yes, we should take a look." And that Wang Wei, now he is also an official in the capital. When we get together and see who can write better poems, I guess Li Bai will ask for an official position from us. He only needs our help to recommend him. Although he is very powerful in history, it is very difficult for him to be an official now. Then do you want to help? It is said that he does not want to take the imperial examination. Otherwise, he would have come to take the imperial examination. Why? Zhang Xiaobao hesitated. He was afraid that if he helped to recommend Li Bai would drink too much. It might be difficult for others to recommend him, but if he and Wang Wan recommended him, Li Longji would definitely value it very much. If Li Bai drank too much in the imperial court and scolded people he caught, others would definitely say that he should not have recommended him. If things went wrong, he would be impeached. Wang Wan read the letter again and thought about it for a while before saying, Li Bai couldn't pass the imperial examination. The imperial examination doesn't just require one to be able to write poems. There are other requirements as well. Otherwise, why would we need to work so hard to learn? He wants people to look for him like they look for a hermit. The most suitable era for such a person is the spring and autumn period. What is important is the strength of character. When it comes to planning, those who are capable will succeed. Those who are not will disappear in the long river of history. Oh, now that you mention it, I understand. It's just like the graduate students at our time. Many of them have no real ability. After graduation, they don't want to work in a small place. They want to work in a big place, but they don't want to work there. They always look like they have talent, but don't want to work there. When Zhang Xiaobao heard Wang Wan's words, he gave an example. Who knows? After all, there's too little information in the book, and it's too old. We'll see when we meet him. If he's capable, we'll arrange for him to be an official. He actually wants to be an official who can talk to Li Longji in court. Let's arrange for him to be a county magistrate first. Wang Wan was also in a difficult position. She did not have a direct impression of Li Bai. The only impression in her mind was that Li Bai was good at writing poems. Chapter 840. After staying in Penglai for 3 days, Li Bai was the first one who couldn't stay. He wanted to see Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan as soon as possible. First, he wanted to see the two legendary people with his own eyes. Second, he wanted them to recommend him. In the 3 days, in order to satisfy Li Yu, Li Bai wrote a lot of poems and drank a lot of wine. He had a good time with a group of literati who were attracted by the high reward. Li Yu planned to let the literati quarrel with each other according to the original idea of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. However, because of Li Bai's participation, he wrote a few good poems in succession. Many people began to agree with the Blackwater Governor's Mansion. It was almost one-sided. Very few people have been to the Blackwater Governor's Mansion. They didn't know the specific situation there at all. However, it was imaginable that people with good literary talent would write a poem or an essay. People with good painting skills would also draw snowy scenes according to the appearance of winter in other places. With Wang Wan's painting of the fog, it also gave them a reference to imitate and sublimate. Li chose a good painting and hung it up. Within 3 days, Penglai became the focus of a special discussion about the Blackwater Governor's Mansion. Anyone who came to Penglai found that if they didn't talk about the Blackwater Governor's Mansion, it seemed that they couldn't keep up with the times. Seeing that the general trend was set, Liu didn't plan to continue to waste time in Penglai. He arranged a few clever people to be in charge of the next publicity matters. After several hints from Li Bai, he finally took more than 400 people from Anzhou to Jili State by boat. The boat sailed for half a day. At noon, Liu set up a banquet on the bow of the boat. He found Li Bai and continued to drink. He wanted to discuss with Li Bai about going to the Blackwater Governor's Mansion to help him. Li Bai gladly accepted the banquet. He was addicted to the past 3 days. He knew that the wine and dishes of Bihai Insha were good before. Unfortunately, he didn't dare to go to the 3rd floor. At most, he was invited to the 2nd floor by others. The wine and dishes he ordered were not so expensive. There was a big difference in the price of good wine and bad wine. In the past 3 days, Li Bai had been drinking white wine and red wine back and forth, and was flattered by other people who were not as good as Li Bai in literary talent. Li Bai felt as if he was not in this world. The wind blew from the surface of the sea, bringing with it the salty smell of the sea. In the distance, the fishing boat chased the direction of the circling seabirds. The sun shone on the waves, sparkling endlessly, making Li Bai, who had never really been out to sea, have a different feeling in his heart. Tai Bai, when we meet Xiao Bao and Cuckoo after we return to Jili Province, I guess they will let you follow me to the Blackwater Commander-in-Chief Mansion. What kind of job do you want to do? Liu asked Li Bai while he was waiting for the rice wine to start boiling. He added some ginger, salt, and sugar into the jar from time to time. When Li Bai heard Liu's words, he hesitated for a moment and asked, "Can I work for Provincial Governor Zhang and Adjunct Wang?" Liu blinked and felt a little uncomfortable. He understood what Li Bai meant. Li Bai just wanted to work for someone with great ability and then enter the imperial court. When they were talking yesterday, he told Li Bai that his recommendation would not be of much use now. He thought that Li Bai was preparing to take another path. Liu pondered for a moment and was really angry. He was indeed not as good as Xiao Bao and Cuckoo. When he saw Li Bai was still waiting for a reply, he thought for a moment and said, "Tai Bai, Xiao Bao, and Cuckoo also like poetry, but only a little. They prefer to do practical things." They began to learn how to do things when they were in Sanshui County. When they came to Luzhou, they had a lot of opportunities to practice. Tai Bai, why don't you follow me to the Blackwater Commander-in-Chief Mansion first? You can get used to the feeling of being an official, sort out the accounts, and organize the people to work. When it's time, you can go to Xiao Bao and Cuckoo. Li Bai felt a little regretful. He thought for a moment and said, "All right, what do they like?" "They like money. Xiao Bao likes to make money and spend money. Cuckoo likes to turn money into an army. The more soldiers she can control, the happier she is." Many officials in the imperial court say that they are too tacky, but they are using their things. They are happy that they have a high-ranking membership in the Savant's Pavilion and the Joy House. You can't help them in this regard. Liu knew that Li Bai wanted to cater to Xiao Bao and Cuckoo's interests. Unfortunately, ordinary people could not help much with the things that Xiao Bao and Cuckoo liked. Only the imperial uncle could help a little in terms of policy. That was the return of their efforts. As expected, Li Bai was worried. He picked up a tune bean and threw it into his mouth and chewed slowly. Then, he asked, "Do Provincial Governor Zhang and Adjunct Wang have any other ideas about Tubo and its surrounding areas? I know a little about it." "Well, you can talk to them about it when the time comes." Liu really did not have the heart to attack Li Bai in this regard. Xiao Bao and Cuckoo certainly had ideas about Tubo. Not only did they have ideas, but they had also made practical actions. It was good to let Li Bai talk to them. Maybe he could really provide them with a new idea. Liu looked at the boiling wine and felt that it was almost ready. He scooped out 2 bowls and said to Li Bai, "Tai Bai, although Xiao Bao and Cuckoo seem to be young, they know a lot of things. They don't like things that are too vague. Remember, try to be practical when the time comes." Of course. After hearing Liu's words, Li Bai was a little nervous and answered. At this time, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wang were also thinking about how to arrange Li Bai. "Li Bai is coming. What position do you think we should arrange for him? I know that he's ambitious, but we can't just assign him the position of Prime Minister. Even if we do, Li Longji won't accept it. There are still 2 Prime Ministers in the Imperial Court. Zhang Shua hasn't stepped down yet. According to history, he's finished. Sigh, it's all because we helped him." As Zhang Xiaobao spoke, he used a pen to write a poem on a piece of paper. "The moonlight before the bed is bright." Wang Wan looked at Zhang Xiaobao's poem and smiled. "Why did you think of writing this poem? Who knows what Li Bai can do? We have to wait until we meet him to know what he is capable of. I hope that he is really capable. That way, he can do more things." Zhang Xiaobao changed a piece of paper and wrote on it, "Those who abandoned me yesterday, draw a knife to break the water. Water flows faster. Raise a cup to drown sorrow. Sorrow grows more sorrowful." After he finished writing, he sang, "Yesterday is like the east flowing water, leaving me far away. Today my heart is full of worries. Draw a knife to break the water. Water flows faster. Raise a cup to drown sorrow. Sorrow grows more sorrowful. Tomorrow." The first part of this poem from more than 100 years ago was changed according to his poem. I think if we really arrange for him to be an official, and he really does it well, then will there still be a poem like the one we have read before? You see, Su Shi is not bad. If his official career continues to be so good, will there still be Dompa Pork? Will there still be a misty reign of Ren Pingsheng? Li Bai is the same. So is the pleasures of the world. Since ancient times, all things flow to the east. Will such a sentence disappear? Zhang Xiaobao was worried about this matter. Wang Wan shook her head and held Zhang Xiaobao's hand, saying, "So you wrote, 'The moonlight before the bed is bright,' right? Because this poem is the most difficult to understand. Whether the bed is a bed to sleep on or a bench to sit on is very controversial. It's like the Lang Lang riding a bamboo horse, circling the bed to play with green plums. In fact, it's nothing. Even if Li Bai couldn't write so many unsatisfactory poems, I think he could write another kind of poem. Li Shimin and Li Longji both wrote poems. Many famous court officials also wrote good poems that were passed down. A real poet can write at any time, just like how people in our time like to write diaries. Words are a kind of carrier. No matter what kind of feeling or mood, they can be written. It's just that some people use it well and write comfortably. Xian Qiji is a general. Didn't he also write looking for him in the crowd 1,000 times? It's useless to think so much. The sooner we meet Li Bai, the sooner we see what he can do and make arrangements. After all, he can be considered a celebrity. Okay, recite a few more of Li Bai's poems for me. I'll remember them. If he dares to recite poems to me when he gets here, I'll bully him to death. If not, I'll let Xiao Yuan do it. In a few days, Xiao Bei and the others will be sent to Jian and to be officials. Most of them have migrated. Let's see how they manage with so few people. Well, I want to teach them yesterday. I just arrived. Guess what happened to me? Zhang Xiaobao was happy when he talked about his younger siblings. This group of little guys had their own personalities. It was not easy for them to be so harmonious together. What happened to you? Tell me, did Xiaobei bully you again? Wang Wan was curious. No. After Xiaoyan memorized the rhymes of the old man and the book of songs, he started to compose. When I went there, Xiao Yuan was reciting poems to Xiaobei. I don't know how long he had been holding it in, but he finally came up with a 7-line poem. It was so funny, ha. Zhang Xiaobao laughed so hard that he squatted on the ground. Wang Wan blinked and had a look of disbelief. Really? Tell me, what's the 7-line poem that Xiao Yuan wrote? What did he write? Don't be fooled by how much he memorized. If he really wrote it, it would be like a nursery rhyme. Then tell me quickly. Okay. Zhang Xiaobao responded and began to imitate Xiao Yuan. Bei, look at how round the moon is tonight. I suddenly had an idea. Ha. I'm dying of laughter. What happened after that? Wang Wan also laughed. After that, our Xiaobei said, Xiao Yuan, are you sick? Today is the 6th day of the new year. Find me a full moon for me to see. I can't take it anymore. Zhang Xiaobao laughed again after saying that. Wang Wan pursed her lips hard, her face red. Zhang Xiaobao continued to imitate Xiao Yuan. When the heart is round, the moon will be round. I composed a poem, Ode to the Moon. It's about the moon. Then praise it. I'm hungry and want to eat the eggplant box. I'll get someone to make it. After you praise it, I'll send it to you. Zhang Xiaobao imitated Xiaobei's voice again. Wang Wan listened to Zhang Xiaobao's words and pinched her thigh hard. And then Xiao Yuan pulled Xiaobei and didn't let her go. He promised her many benefits and promised his 11 bodyguards to let Xiaobei give orders. Only then did Xiaobei reluctantly stay and listen. You don't even know what Xiao Yuan's poem is. Aya, let me rest. As Zhang Xiaobao spoke, he actually fell to the ground and rolled around with all his might. Wang Wan didn't urge him anymore. She tried her best not to be like Zhang Xiaobao. After a while, Zhang Xiaobao stopped with a grimace and a pained expression on his face. Calm down. You have to calm down. If you keep laughing, my intestines will break. Listen, Xiao Yuan said, the moon last night wasn't round. Today, the moon is round again. The river of stars has fallen to the vaguest tears. The moon once floated on the sea of stars. Not to mention that it's not easy to build a bridge. It's difficult to watch a jade hair-pound medicine. Immortals have their own hardships, but mortals can sleep together. Xiaobei, are you sleepy? Go to sleep. You lean against the wall. I'll be outside you to block the wind. Xiaobei said, stay away from me. It's colder when you say it. I'm really going to eat. Do you want to eat? If not, I won't bring more for you. Ha. Another day, Li Bai's ship finally docked at the dock of Jili province. When they were on the ship, they were very curious about this place. It was said that Jili province used to be poor, but it became rich after Governor Zhang and Army Commander Wang came. Seeing was believing. They didn't know how poor Jili province used to be, but now they saw how prosperous it was. Anzhou was located north of the Yangtze River. There was a big river flowing into the river. Many people came and went, so it was quite prosperous. It was much better than several places in the west. It was often said that the north was bitterly cold, but now it didn't seem to be bitterly cold at all in Jili province. At the wharf of Jili, people came and went. Bearers shouted as they unloaded sacks of goods from ships coming from other places and carried them to a spacious place on the shore, where there were innumerable carts and horses. Every time a cart was loaded, it would leave. On the shore, there were many restaurants and inns. There were rows of restaurants and tea shops. There was even a long street full of people hawking their wares. Once again, Liu warned Li Bai, who had a curious look in his eyes. Xiaobao and Wan like to make a poor place rich so that the people can live a good life. Usually, they're more willing to listen to a commoner talk about how good life is at home than to hear about whether the immortals will come or not. Wherever the Zhang and Wang families have been officials, the people do not worship the gods or gods. Wherever the Zhang and Wang families have been officials, the people do not worship the gods or gods. Wherever the Zhang and Wang families pass by, the people smoke. If you manage to improve the lives of the people in a certain place and obtain a real reputation, you don't need to look for Xiaobao and Wan. The two of them will take the initiative to look for you and arrange a higher official position for you. Li Bai was really shocked by what he saw. He looked around and asked doubtfully, "Why don't I see any children? Can they really arrange an official position for someone? They're in school. Don't you have a school in Anzhou?" Li Yu asked. "I never cared. No one mentioned it." Li Bai really didn't care about this kind of thing. Madame Su, who was standing next to him, whispered in his ear, "My husband is the same in Anzhou. My father sends a few thousand to the school every month to participate in the Chaoyang mission. My husband is busy and doesn't know." These words made Li Bai's face turn red and then white. He suddenly remembered what Li Yu said. Xiaobao and Cuckoo liked people who did things. When they met and asked, he couldn't say it. Wouldn't he lose a good opportunity? Li Yu said, "If Xiaobao and Cuckoo want to arrange an official position for someone, it is too easy. The 9 children of the 2 families are now secondary class, rank 4 civil officials. There are even rank 7 or 8 official positions in their hands. Tai Bai needs to work hard." Li Bai nodded repeatedly. He wanted to find Su Gui and ask him more about specific things, especially things related to the people's livelihood. "I will send someone to send a letter to Xiaobao and let them know in advance." As Li Yu spoke, he waved his hand and called someone over. He gave a few instructions, and the person quickly left. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang didn't wait for Li Yu's letter. Instead, they waited for 3 pieces of bad news. The 3 pieces of news arrived almost at the same time, not a quarter of an hour apart. One came from the Mud River, one from the capital, and one from the Jiangnan East Road merchants on horses. The 3 letters were placed on the table. Zhang Xiaobao's expression was not very good. He looked at Wang and pointed to the letter on the left. The news from the capital says that the 2 Jue people suddenly gathered and headed north. They sent a letter to Li Longji saying that they are willing to be officials and that Li Longji should send people to govern there. Li Longji was obviously unhappy. If the people were gone, who would be the officials sent to govern? It seems that the left virtuous Prince Keidachin is still not reconciled. He would rather migrate in the cold north than truly submit to the Tang Empire. "What do you think we should do?" Wang bit her lip and exhaled heavily through her nose. "Is there a mountain over there? It's not easy to cross the mountain. I don't have time to deal with them now. I'll let them suffer more. When I'm done with Xinluo, I'll see if they are really determined to be hostile." The second letter says that Xinluo is causing trouble at the Mud River on our side. The people of Xinluo are unwilling to clear the river and have gathered there to obstruct the construction. This is the attitude of the Xinluo king. Now there are many mountains and few plains. Do you think we should fight? If we fight, I will mobilize the army immediately. After talking about the second letter, the 2 of them looked at the third letter. This letter was written by a merchant from the Jiangnan East Road. There were many big ships in Japan, and they wanted to cooperate with the local merchants to explore overseas. They wanted to freely dock at Xinyuan Island and resupply. Why do I feel that they have discussed this beforehand? Don't worry about the Japanese. Tell the merchants in the Jiangnan East Road not to cooperate with the Japanese. Otherwise, there will be no good results. If the Japanese want to explore, they can go by themselves. I don't believe that their ships can reach Molucca without our help. The Turkic matter is not urgent. That place is not suitable for survival. If they dare to go north, they will freeze to death. Didn't they give up the place? Tell our people in Fengzhou to organize armed guards and invite other merchants to enter the Turkic area together and open up pastures. Zhang Xiaobao tapped his face with his hand. Wang knew that he was really angry. Some people would not cry until they saw the coffin. So we have to take care of Xinlua now? Yes, Xinlua. We don't need to gather too many soldiers. 3,000 is enough. The two of us will go and take a look first. If we can solve it without using force, then we won't fight. However, the river must be connected. Otherwise, we will have to go around a large bay to transport goods. Zhang Xiaobao clenched his teeth. Chapter 841. You're not allowed to dig. If you dig through the river, you'll break the vein. We won't have a good life in the future. You can't dig, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan stood on the west bank of the muddy river. Watching the place where the muddy river was supposed to be excavated stop, they could clearly hear the reason that the people who were obstructing the construction were shouting. I hate people who use such means for their own selfish interests. The saddest thing is that many people who don't understand things are incited to make trouble. Xiaobao, who do you think doesn't want the river to be dug through the most? Wang Wan didn't need to ask anyone. Looking at the situation in front of her, she knew what was going on in her heart. Zhang Xiaobao, who was standing beside Wang Wan, took out the fishing rod he brought and walked to a place where they could rest. He slowly put the fishing rod on and said, "The road is really difficult to walk on. It took half a month to come here from Jili province. I didn't even get to meet Li Bai. Let's repair the road from Jili province to here." You don't dare to meet Li Bai. You're afraid that the character in your heart will suddenly fall into the mortal world. Who will pay for the road repair? Wang Wan said Zhang Xiaobao's thoughts. In fact, she was the same. Seeing that she was about to meet Li Bai, she suddenly felt that if Li Bai was too close to her, she would lose the cultural sustenance that she once had. He hung the bait and swung the fishing rod. With a swoosh, the lead fell into the water with the fishing line. Then, he gently flicked the small bell on the rod. Zhang Xiaobao smacked his lips twice and felt that it was tasteless. According to the analysis in Li Ji's letter, Li Bai's poems are not bad in the future. But now I haven't seen what great abilities he has. It's better to miss him than to meet him. Xiao Bei and the others will go to Jian and with Li Bai to be officials and see how he is. As for the road repair, our Zhengzheng construction group will do it. We will greet all the caravans that travel between Xinlua and the Great Tang. They will pay a portion of the money and take up 30%. In the future, any caravan that passes under their banner will not be charged any fees, nor will they need to pay any maintenance fees. In a while, I'll get someone to contact them to build a narrower road. It will cost a lot less money. If they think it's expensive, they can join forces and take 10% of the money. My initial estimate is that the road will cost 10 million strings of cash. As long as they pay 1 million, they can enjoy huge benefits in the future. Zhang Xiaobao said 10 million strings of cash, as though it was 1,000 yuan. It was very easy. Wang Wan was confused by her words. Now that the river is blocked, you want to build a road? Bored? It's not like you don't know the situation at home. Where are you going to find 10 million strings of cash? In another 10 years, maybe you won't continue to spend money and you'll be able to satisfy your current needs. You and I know how much cash the family has. Others don't know. Our family has so many businesses. In the hearts of others, we are as rich as a country. If I shout that I use money to fill up the East Sea, there will be people who will believe me. Zhang Xiaobao loaded another fishing rod and said to Wang Wan with a smile. Wang Wan frowned and thought hard, but she could not figure out why Zhang Xiaobao would talk about the land route instead of solving the problem of the water route at the border. Looking at the tributaries that flowed down from the mountain and gathered in the mud river, she asked, "What should we do about the matter in front of us? Let's do it together. The Turks are going north, and Japan is going to follow them. Something has happened in Xinlua. I keep feeling that there's some connection between them. Is it because we haven't made a move for a long time that people think that we've changed from wolves to wolves? If we don't let them suffer a little, they'll really be able to overturn the sky." As Zhang Xiaobao spoke, he saw that the fish did not take the bait for a long time. He took out a nest for small fish and opened it in front of him. Then he took out 2 soy sauce pig kicks and gave one to Wang Wan. She held it and began to gnaw on it. Wang Wan ate a few mouthfuls and spat out the bones into the nest. "Didn't you write a letter to the people of Jiangnan East Province not to let them participate in Japan? Are you going to change your mind?" If you change, you'll be a good comrade. If you don't cooperate with them, you can sell the sea map to the Japanese. There are many things at sea: storms, reefs, whirlpools, and pirates. I hope that the Japanese brothers can find the continent of hope in their hearts safely. Amen. Zhang Xiaobao ate quickly, but he did not eat too cleanly. He ate a large piece of meat into his stomach and stuffed the bones that still had a lot of meat into the nest. He rubbed his hands on his body casually and said with a smile. Wang Wan curled her lips and stopped eating. She tore off the meat and wrapped it in oil paper. The bones were given to Zhang Xiaobao to nest the fish. She rubbed her hands on Zhang Xiaobao's clothes and said, "After being with a person like you for a long time, it's hard to find that little bit of kindness in my heart. Thank you for the compliment. I'll fish more in a while. I'll fry them for you as a snack at night. Get someone in charge of foreign affairs here." Zhang Xiaobao shook his head happily and went down to the river. He called out, and someone immediately did as he ordered. As a wholesale and retail merchant, Li Dong's life had not been good recently. There were more and more ships coming to and from Tang Empire to Xinhua. A large number of goods were unloaded and turned into money. The low price made many people who used to buy goods from his shop run to the dock to buy. In recent months, his profits had been getting smaller and smaller. If this continued, it would not be long before his family's business could not continue. Fortunately, after he took charge of the shop, he specially studied the goods shipped from Tang Empire. He chose goods that the Tang Empire people felt were not profitable and would not be transported. He bought them from Tang Empire and transported them to Xinhua by land. The shop also opened a new branch. As it was far from the sea and the Tang Empire ships did not transport such goods, his life became much better. He was looking forward to making a lot of money, but who knew that Tang Empire wanted to connect the Mud River? Once it was connected, ships would come over. Now that the price of a few goods had been raised by him, people with intentions would definitely notice. A few days ago, someone from the imperial family came over to discuss. In order to prevent Tang Empire from successfully clearing the river, he stood in front and found people to use all kinds of excuses to obstruct. Although it was a temporary success, when he heard that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan from Jili province were coming, he did not know if they would kill him. They were people who could do anything. He regretted that the imperial family was afraid back then. Why did he foolishly agree? No, he had to find a few more colleagues. When trouble came, everyone would face it together. With this thought, Li Dong rubbed his sore eyes, got up, and walked out of the room. He called out to a servant who walked past him. "Tell the steward to write a few invitations and send them to the vegetable workshop, the distant mountain chamber of commerce, and the horse gang. Tomorrow, there will be a banquet at Changfeng Pavilion." The servant left in a hurry. Not long after, he came back to report, "Master, the steward knows." Someone came outside saying that he's the steward of Zhengzheng Construction and wants to see you. Zhengzheng Construction? Li Dong felt that the name was familiar, but he could not remember what it was. The servant reminded him respectfully, "Master, it's the business between Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family that you often told us about. They specialize in all kinds of construction work. Most of the money they earn is used to build the school of Tang Empire. They are unyielding. They once said that no matter what disaster it is, even if the sky falls and the earth sinks, the school will be the last to be destroyed." After the servant mentioned it, Li Dong matched the things that had happened a while ago with what he was hearing now. "Oh, it's this. A few days ago, there was an earthquake in a place near the sea in Dangzhou of Hunan province. I heard that many houses were knocked down and washed away. The two-story school in the village stood alone. The crack in the ground passed through the middle of the building, but the building did not fall down. The seawater flooded the lower floor, and the children ran to the upper floor to avoid it. Why are they here? Did the Tongha River alarm them? Tell them that I'm not here, and let the second steward receive them. If they're not looking for trouble, I'll take a detour from the back door and just came back." It was not the first time that the servant had done such a thing. He agreed and trotted to arrange it. Watching the servant leave, Li Dong began to recall the things that had happened in Dangzhou. He murmured, "Zhengzheng Construction is rich. I heard that the crack in the middle of the school is 4 feet wide. If it were other small houses, they would have fallen in directly. but the upper floor of the school is still connected. It is said that steel bars as thick as a child's arm can be seen in the crack. Did they come here to repair the bridge? If so, it will be troublesome. If Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan do it personally, I don't know if they can hold on. It did not take long for the second steward, who was in contact with the foreign affairs of Zhengzheng Construction Group, to send a message. Master, the second steward said that the man is not here to repair the bridge, but to repair the road. He said that he wants to give you a fortune and asked you to choose a good place to start the construction. Chapter 842. In the morning court, after Li Longji received the news from Jili province, he issued a new decree with the support of a group of officials. Guns and cannons would be transferred from the arsenal, and 3,000 Jinwu guards would be sent to the grassland to train. This was the place left behind by the Tujue after they retreated. Zhang Shuo was especially happy because the guns and cannons had always been in the hands of the Zhang family and Wang family. He had tried several times to figure out how to make them, but to no avail. In addition, the reason he objected last year was not approved by the emperor, so he did not dare to propose to take control of the arsenal. It seemed that the emperor trusted Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan more. This time, he strongly supported the emperor's proposal because he heard that the manufacturing of guns and cannons was very troublesome. For every gun that was up to standard, there would be around 5 that were not. The craftsmen that Zhang family and Wang family had gathered were working hard to improve that thing called lathe. 3,000 Jinwu guards, it was impossible for them to only take 3,000 guns. Perhaps some of them would break down, but at least 4,000 would be needed. This would put a lot of pressure on the Zhang family and Wang family. Furthermore, the cost of the cannons was not low. If the Zhang family and Wang family could not provide enough ammunition, he would have a reason to fight for power. Standing there and thinking about happy things, Zhang Shuo could not help but smile. On the other hand, Yuan Rong's side was worried. The enemy of an enemy was a friend. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan didn't like Zhang Shuo, so they had to rope them in. They didn't expect the two of them to stand on their side, but at least they had to let them know that they weren't a threat to them. Gao Lishir was very good at reading people's expressions. When he saw the smile on Zhang Shuo's face, he bowed and said to the emperor, "Your Majesty, the officials are very happy to hear your Majesty's proposal." Li Longji's eyes also swept back and forth between the officials in sight. He did not miss Zhang Shuo's expression, and his face could not help but become gloomy. He thought to himself, I don't know when Xiao Bao and Cuckoo's master will fight. I'm already worried, but there's still people thinking about internal strife. Xiao Bao and Cuckoo are so sensible. Not only are they not supporting them, but they're also hoping that something will happen to their families. Their intentions are unforgivable. Thinking of this, Li Longji was even more annoyed with Zhang Shuo. In the past, he had thought that Zhang Shuo was not bad, but why was it that he could not see the maturity in him recently? Li Shi, is there any news from Governor Zhang and Adjunct Wang in Jili province? Li Longji decided to let Zhang Shuo's faction suffer for a while as a form of warning. If they still didn't know when to back down, he would have to make a move. Gao Lishir seemed to have a tacit understanding as he replied, Your Majesty, Xiao Bao and Cuckoo know that the Turks are retreating to the north, that Japan is going to participate in the sea exploration, and that Silla is ready to make a move. They have already come up with a plan, but they haven't officially sent a letter to the capital yet. I think they will arrive in the next few days. When I return, I will show the letter to your Majesty. As Gao Lishir spoke, Li Longji seemed to have really not seen Gao Lishir's letter. He happily said, That's good. The two of them have worked hard. I heard that the two of them have personally gone to the border with Silla. I hope there won't be any danger. The officials really thought that the emperor did not know the specific situation, but when they heard the emperor say that the two of them had arrived at the border, they immediately understood that the emperor was pretending. How could he know the situation if he had not read the letter? Heard it? Who told him? Your Majesty, please rest assured. The two of them have personally gone there because Xiao Bao does not wish to use war to solve the problem. I feel that with Xiao Bao's help, the matter of Silla can be solved. Perhaps there will be an unexpected situation. Gao Lishur did not get the specific information from the letter, but he knew that it was fine if his godson did not make a move. Once he did, Scylla could only wait to be unlucky. Xiao Bao's methods were unusual. At this time, Zhang Shuo also restrained the smile on his face. He understood the meaning of the emperor's words. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were still busy with the Tang Empire. They should not have any thoughts about the two of them. They should not do anything that they should not do. Otherwise, it would be easy to put the blame on someone else, such as sending them to Jili province. Li Longji seemed to feel that the blow was not enough. He asked again, Lishur, how much military equipment and ammunition are in the armory now? Apart from Gao Lishur, Li Longji, and Zhang Zhong, the other officials really did not know. This was because it had been agreed that the emperor would be in charge, and the people of the Zhang family and Wang family would assist in the management. The Ministry of War and the head of the Secretariat could only stand aside. Everyone's eyes were fixed on Gao Lishur, wanting to get a detailed report from him. Your Majesty, I just want to count yesterday. Now, there are 4,000 pistols in the armory, 6,000 single-shot spears, 1,500 semi-automatic spears, 200 boxes of pistol bullets, 500 rounds per box, 400 boxes of rifle bullets, 800 rounds per box, 150 toad cannons, 3,000 shells, 15,000 grenades, and landmines. The number of weapons reported one by one made everyone dumbfounded. Even if they knew that the arsenal controlled by Zhang family and Wang family was very powerful and knew the power of the new weapons, they could not figure out how they could produce so many weapons. Zhang Shuo felt even more pressure. For a person, the most terrifying thing was not knowing. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan seemed to have a close relationship with the emperor to the extent that they were closer than the prime minister. In terms of favored officials, the two of them were not the kind of people who relied on the emperor's good impression to do things. Their own strength was there. In terms of being able to be an official, many times they did not follow the etiquette of a monarch. Should I secretly remind Xian Luo that Zhang Xiaobao is going to use underhanded methods? Zhang Shuo, who felt the pressure, was tempted. As soon as this thought appeared, he suppressed it. Forget it. He believed that the people of Xian Luo also knew how Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's methods were. It was better for him to be honest. Otherwise, if the two of them found out, they could easily kill their way to Hanyuan Palace Hall on a whim one day and shoot him a few times. Yes, it was very easy. Even Xiao Bei and the others dared to bring up the official registrar of the Ministry of Works, let alone their brother and sister. There was no normal person in this family. They did not know what compromise was and did not follow the rules. All the officials had their own thoughts. For a moment, Hanyuan Palace Hall was silent. Seeing that his initial goal had been achieved, Li Longji opened his mouth and said, "The 3,000 Jinwu guards entered the grassland this time. First, they represented the imperial court to accept the Turks. Second, they would check the terrain and make a detailed map. Third, they were to improve their proficiency in using weapons. Fourth, there were too many wolves on the grassland. They were to find other animals and let the people of Fengzhou follow them. They were to make canned food and bring it back to the capital for everyone to taste." "Thank you, Your Majesty." The officials quickly expressed their gratitude. The canned food of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had been leaked, but the recipe had not been leaked. A food that was originally for the inner court to carry on a long journey had now become a luxury item. One could not help but sigh. In that case, the court is dismissed. Seeing that no one brought up anything new, Li Longji left with this sentence and left in his carriage. The officials looked at each other and hurried back to their respective offices. In their hearts, they knew that the Turks were finished. The 3,000 Jinwu guards were equipped with good weapons. In addition to the hot air balloons patrolling the sky, it was very likely that they would catch the Turks off guard and attack them directly. Changfeng Pavilion, built by the river, had 3 floors. One could see the murmuring water of the muddy river flowing, and there was even a slight breeze on the surface of the river. Just like other restaurants, the higher the floor, the more expensive the dishes were. This was especially so for the rooms facing the river. Ordinary people could only look at them, but could not afford them. Li Dong had gathered the people from the other powers on the third floor. Originally, he had planned to come tomorrow, but who knew that the foreign affairs of Zhengzheng construction would come today? Furthermore, they even said that they would give him a fortune. Regardless of the other party's intentions, he still had to show the necessary etiquette. Thus, he brought forward the date to this evening. If the people of Zhengzheng Construction Group wanted to threaten him, he would have a few more helpers to help him. In a room on the third floor, more than 20 people were seated at 3 tables. Some of them were clearly dispirited, as if they had just come out from a brothel not long ago. If one were to look carefully while walking, one might see that some of them had weak legs. More than 20 people gathered here and kept drinking tea. There was no dish on the table. After waiting for half an hour, they finally saw Li Dong, who had come back from outside and met the people of Zhengzheng Construction Group by chance, walking in with the people of Zhengzheng Construction Group while chatting and laughing. Finally, more than 20 people stood up and greeted them one after another. They glanced at the people of Zhengzheng Construction Group from time to time. If they were just building houses for others, they would not pay so much attention to them. However, they knew clearly who was behind Zhengzheng Construction Group, so they had to pay attention to them. After greeting each other, they sat down again. The waiter of the restaurant hurriedly served cold dishes and wine so that they could eat first. Ladies and gentlemen, Boss Li has already introduced me. I am Zhang Tai, the Foreign Affairs Manager of Zhengzheng Construction Group. However, I'm sure you don't know why I'm here today. I wish you all a prosperous business and fortune. The Foreign Affairs of Zhengzheng Construction Group asked the waiter to fill the wine glasses first. Then, he picked up the glasses and started to talk to the people at present. After that, he drank up the wine in the glasses. Seeing him drinking up, the others also drank up a bowl of wine. After burping, they knew that Zhang Tai had something to say. Therefore, they all fixed their eyes on Zhang Tai and waited for him to open his mouth. After putting down the bowl, Zhang Tai picked up a cucumber and chewed it. Wei Wei shook her head. Apparently, he didn't like the cold dish of cucumber in Changfeng Pavilion. Li Dong didn't make any comment on this. Now that Zhang Tai was from Zhang Clan and Wang Clan, he must have eaten better food than Changfeng Pavilion. Besides, between the clouds and the water and blue sea silver salmon are not decorations. After forcefully swallowing the cucumber, Zhang Tai put down his chopsticks. It seemed that he didn't want to continue eating. After looking around with a smile, Wei Wei shook her head and said, "Not many people. That's it. After letting you know about it, we will find more people to cooperate with you." After hearing that, over 20 people also put down their chopsticks and pricked up their ears in case of missing something important. Here's the thing. Zhengzheng Construction Group wants to cooperate with you to build a road from Idyll province to here. The total cost is estimated to be 11 million strings of coins. As long as you contribute a little bit, the road will be built. Zhang Tai casually uttered a figure. However, this figure startled all the people at present. 11 million strings of coins? How much was a little bit? If it was divided equally, it seemed that it was not enough even if they sold all the goods. Before someone raised a question, Zhang Tai continued, "If it's not divided equally, you will not have enough cash flow, right?" All the people nodded, as they knew that Zhang Tai was giving them face. Otherwise, they would not have enough cash flow. They would not have enough cash flow even if they sold all their properties. Therefore, Zhengzheng Construction Group will take 10 million strings of coins. You only need to take 1 million strings of coins in total. If you put too much money on goods, you can find others to join you. You might ask why we want to build a road. To tell you the truth, our young master has taken a fancy to some specialties of Xinluo and wants to expand the business. Meanwhile, there will be new specialties of Idyll province in the near future. We want to sell them to Xinluo. Previously, we planned to use ships. However, we were afraid that you would not be able to see the benefits. Therefore, we came here to seek for cooperation by land. Zhang Tai's words revealed that he was afraid of the over 20 people at present, which made Li Dong and the others feel much better. It seemed that they were very powerful when they joined hands. Even Zhang Xiaobao would be afraid of them. This was an acknowledgement. Fine, 1 million strings of coins. If we join hands, we could we have to study it carefully. The moment one of them was going to agree, he caught Li Dong's eye. Therefore, he hurriedly changed his words, which sounded awkward. At this moment, Li Dong opened his mouth. Foreign Affairs Secretary Zhang, what's the road like? If we spend money to build a road, what will we get in return? If it's just convenient transportation, with all due respect, it's not cost-effective. Even if there's no new road, we will find a way to transport goods by land. Why should we spend more money? The others suddenly considered this question as they nodded inside and stared at Zhang Tai. Chapter 843. As Zhang Tai took out the plan that he had prepared in advance, the room on the third floor of Changfeng Pavilion became quiet. Nobody talked anymore. Neither did they care about the dishes and drinks, which were not as tasty as blue sea silver sand. With Li Dong in the lead, the crowd gathered together and formed 3 circles. Each circle had a proposal, and they all read it without making a sound. Not bad indeed. Zhang Xiaobao is really something. After looking through a few catalogs, Li Dong raised his head and said something in Xinluo to the people who were also looking at him. They nodded at once. If it were them, they would not be able to figure out the plan in their hands. After saying that, Li Dong turned over a page. They then continued to read it seriously. Part of the plan was how to mobilize the materials for road construction and where to find people to help transport them. Part of the plan was about the firmness of the road and whether it could withstand the flood and the trampling of horses' hooves. Li Dong and the others were not interested in this information. It was not easy to get 1 million strings of coins. Even if over 20 families worked together, they could not afford 1 million strings of coins. They had to find more people. They had to find a reason for others to help them. What they wanted to know was how much benefit they could get from the road construction. After turning over another page, they finally found the information that they needed. Firstly, the road would be built at the junction of the 2 places, namely the border between Xinluo country and Tang dynasty. It would not take long for them to see the results. They would build inns, restaurants, and other houses on the roadside for those who had just come from Tang dynasty or Xinluo country to rest. It was estimated that they could get 1,000 strings of coins per month. In the future, as trade and transportation became more frequent, they could make more money. Zhengzhen construction only needed 20% of the profit. After the road in Jieshi province was built, the investors in Xinluo country could also get 20% of the profit. Seeing the first point, a smile appeared on Li Dong's face. An 80% and 20% profit was like money falling from the sky. If they were to calculate according to the proportion of money invested, they wouldn't even be able to get 10%. It seemed that Zhang Xiaobao would give them some benefits first and then ask for it from other sources. After considering it, they continued to read on. Secondly, the road was built on a road that could barely be considered a road from afar. That way, the people or groups who could still use this road would have to walk on their own if they didn't want to walk on a newly built road. If they wanted to leave, they had to pay a toll fee to maintain the road. If they were traveling alone, they could stay at the 2 sides and wait for other caravans to come over to help guard and transport the goods. In lieu of paying the toll fee, both sides would receive a certain percentage of intermediary fees from the caravans. If a caravan were to pass through, they would charge a fee based on the value of the goods. Considering that the value of the goods could increase by several times from one place to another, they would charge a fee of 10% of the value of the goods or 5% of the goods. Good. The second point is good. If you don't take the road that we built and go to other places, firstly, it will be dangerous, and secondly, it'll be a waste of time. 10% of the money is not a small amount. It will be best to take 5% of the goods. If the goods are transported back and forth, they will all be things that are not available in the 2 places, so the value will be higher. When Li Dong saw the second point, he stopped and told the people beside him. They nodded once again. Third, the Great Tang would set up a toll gate on both sides of the border. All goods from Xinluo would have to pay a 20% tariff to protect the profits of the Great Tang's corresponding industries. The Great Tang would send people to patrol and put an end to smuggling. Why? Why do we have to pay a tariff for trade and transportation? It's the first time I've heard of it. It's really strange. Can Zhengzheng construction represent Great Tang's imperial decree? When Li Dong saw the third point, he was not satisfied. He wanted to transport more goods from Xinluo to Great Tang to sell in the future. Since there were more people in Jilin province, there would be more goods in demand. Therefore, the price would be higher. If he had to pay this ridiculous tariff, wouldn't he be giving money to others for free? Therefore, he questioned Zhang Tai, who was sitting on the cushion. Zhang Tai was drinking the scented tea that he had brought. Recently, he had been a bit irritated by the boat ride. Thankfully, his master had prepared a scented tea for him. Tasting the faint fragrance of the flowers, he was interrupted by Li Dong, who licked his lips and said, "All the subjects of Great Tang know that my young master and young lady can make decisions on behalf of Great Tang in foreign affairs. His Majesty has also agreed to collect tariffs. Additionally, it's not the first time that Great Tang has collected tariffs in foreign affairs. Jiangnan province has already started to collect tariffs. Even my master's caravan would have to pay the corresponding amount of money. It's the same for Xinyuan Island. I estimate that in a few days, the ships coming to and from Japan would also start to pay tariffs. We can't go against this. Xinluo could also collect tariffs. Otherwise, Master Li could consider it. If Master Li wanted to buy porcelains from Great Tang and transport them back to Xinluo, you could sell them at 6 copper coins per porcelain bowl and sell them at 30 copper coins per porcelain bowl. My Tang caravan could buy porcelain bowls at a lower price and transport them back to Xinluo at 20 copper coins per porcelain bowl. Would Master Li lower your price? If you lower your price, the Tang caravan would only need to maintain the same level of profit as Master Li. By then, the price would be lower than Master Li's. Would Master Li still have money to earn? After collecting tariffs, you would naturally have to raise the price to make profits. This is a form of protection for Master Li. Master Li nodded as his expression changed. It was indeed like what Zhang Tai had said. When the Tang caravan started to transport goods to Xinluo, it would have a great impact on him. At this moment, Zhang Tai added, "Beside the impact of purchasing goods from Great Tang, there's another impact. Xinluo's trees are always less than Great Tang's, especially the output of cloth. For example, a weaver could earn 300 copper coins per year. Our Great Tang has more advanced weaving machines. Our cloth is cheap. If we sell it to Xinluo at a lower price, would the weavers of Xinluo starve to death?" This time, more people nodded. They admitted that Great Tang's technology was more advanced than Xinluo's. They also understood this logic. If silk was cheap, weavers would not be able to weave. If grains were cheap, farmers would not work. If goods were cheap, craftsmen would not work. If there was no output, there would be no money. If there was no money, one would not be able to afford goods. If goods could not be sold, the merchants would be doomed. This is called an economic crisis. Abnormal supply exceeds demand. By then, Xinluo would be doomed. Our young master does not intend to harm Xinluo like this. Otherwise, he would not mention this matter. By then, he would mobilize a large number of materials and attack Xinluo several times. Xinluo would still have a good chance to survive. Our young master is benevolent and righteous. Zhang Tai even showed off his knowledge to Li Dong and the others. Regardless of whether it was right or wrong, Li Dong's people did not know. Li Dong agreed with Zhang Tai's words very much. The only thing he disagreed with was that Zhang Xiaobao was benevolent and righteous. He did not believe that Zhang Xiaobao would be kind-hearted. This we need to discuss it when we go back. Li Dong couldn't make up his mind. As it involved too much, he needed to discuss it with that member of the imperial clan of Xinluo last time. It seemed that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had already stabilized the affairs in Jilin province and were ready to hold a negotiation with Xinluo. This was a big trouble. It doesn't matter. We can understand your difficulties. We're not in a hurry. We'll talk about it after you've discussed it with me. After all, 1 million strings of cash is too much for Xinluo. Even Xinluo's annual income might not reach that amount, not to mention the merchants headed by Li Dong. Zhang Tai replied with a smile. However, his words made them very uncomfortable. Even though he did not show it on his face, Wei Wei's words revealed a condescending attitude. Li Dong and the others just bore this uncomfortable feeling and didn't refute it. After all, Zhang Tai asked for 10 million strings of cash. The sun was warm. Li Longji was lying on the artificial lake that was saturated with salt, looking at the floating clouds in the sky. He appeared to be very satisfied. From time to time, he would take a sip of wine that was floating on the table beside him. This kind of life was really enjoyable. After drinking a cup of wine, he felt a bit tipsy. He glanced at the entrance and waited for Gao Lishur, who had gone to fetch a letter. Not far away, he heard a splash sound. It was the palace maids performing a water dance. In front of him was Wu Huifei. She was wearing a translucent swimsuit, which was very seductive. "Your Majesty, don't let others come to this lake in the future. After they swim, the water will be dirty." Wu Huifei said softly as she held a peach in her hand. She had just washed it clean and peeled it. She then put it in front of Li Longji's mouth. Li Longji took a bite of the peach and narrowed his eyes in satisfaction. He said to Wu Huifei, "The lake is huge. How can anyone dirty it? Those who come to swim are checked by doctors outside. If they are sick, they won't be allowed to swim. If they really don't allow others to come, who will pay for the salt and water? This lake is more than 3,000 feet long, which is 1,000 meters long, 200 meters wide, and 10 meters deep. According to Xiao Bao's calculations, this is 2 million cubic meters. If it is saturated with salt, it will require more than 600,000 tons of salt. Since the beginning of the construction of this lake, it has been constantly expanding. So much money has been spent, and we still have to inject new water and salt every once in a while. If others don't pay, do you want me to? Then I will really be a fatuous ruler. If Xiao Bao and Cuckoo find out, they will stop the annual public welfare funds for disaster relief and construction. My losses will be even greater. Your Majesty, I have never thought so much. So the Zhang family and the Wang family are that powerful? If they are really gone, won't our great Tang be in danger? Your Majesty will have to make concessions to them, Wu Huifei said. She had heard Li Longji's words before, and she seemed to be agreeing with him. Sigh. Li Longji looked at Wu Huifei and sighed. Don't keep thinking about how to deal with them. Even if you're right and great Tang can't do without them, so what? I don't have the final say in this world. I might be able to deal with the Zhang family and the Wang family, but I'll drive them away at the cost of great Tang's economy. Yes, I can only drive them away. It won't be easy to destroy them. Chapter 844. Upon hearing the emperor's words, Wu Huifei could only sigh inwardly. Now that the Zhang family and the Wang family were so powerful, no other officials or forces could go against them. The only one who could do anything was the emperor. However, the emperor's attitude showed that he supported the Zhang family and the Wang family. What was the emperor afraid of? Who had the ability to fight from Luzhou to the capital? She had asked several times, but she did not get any useful information. When she thought about this, the smile on Wu Huifei's face became brighter. She said to the emperor, Your Majesty, a few days ago, Cuckoo asked someone to send me a set of clothes. The places that should be exposed were not, but the places that should not be exposed were all exposed. I wore it once. It was so embarrassing. Li Longji naturally knew what kind of clothes it was. It was specially made for women to wear to seduce men. He had seen it at Empress Wang's place the day before yesterday. The workmanship was exquisite, and the materials were exquisite. He heard that it was the work of Xiao Bao and Cuckoo. He wondered why the two children were thinking about it. Since it's sent here, wear it from me tonight. If it's not done well, I'll definitely hold them responsible. Huifei, for the good of the country, you shouldn't be selfish. It's easy to destroy a person, but it's difficult to build a country. Moreover, the Zhang family and the Wang family can't be destroyed as you wish. I know you have resentment in your heart, so keep it in your heart. Don't take it out, and don't do anything. No one can touch the Zhang family and the Wang family in Luzhou. Even if it's my decree, Luzhou still has to give face to the two families. Also, the 130,000 slaves in Tubo. Oh, now it's 160,000. I reckon it won't be long before it's 200,000 slaves. I know all about it, but what can I do? If the two families want to deal with me, they should have seen those weapons, right? They didn't let me know and directly used them on me. Tell me, who can defeat them? Li Longji was clear in his heart. He knew the power of the Zhang family and the Wang family very well, but he never mentioned the matter of weakening the two families. Wu Huifei rarely heard the emperor say such things to her. Today, when the emperor said this, the charming smile on her face faded. She frowned slightly and said, "Your Majesty, are we really going to ignore them? What if they want to take His Majesty's position? If I wanted to sit, I would have done so long ago." I also thought about it for a long time. I was worried, scared, and helpless. Later, I suddenly thought it through. The Zhang family and the Wang family did not want to be the emperor. Xiao Bao and Cuckoo were not very respectful to me. Just look at Xiao Bei, who kept calling me Uncle Emperor. In the eyes of Xiao Bei and the other children, I was only respected because I was older, not because of my identity. Every night, after I finish reading the memorials, I always think why. Later on, we understood. Oh, to put it in Xiao Bei's words, we understood. The Zhang clan and the Wang clan, especially Xiao Bao and Cuckoo, probably didn't like to be emperor. They only treated the great Tang as theirs. They want me to always sit on the dragon throne, and then follow them to make the great Tang stronger. Their thoughts are not on me, but on the people of the great Tang. It is true that the people are the most important, followed by the country, and the emperor is the least important. As Li Longji spoke, he also felt that he had talked a little too much today. He thought that it might be because the weather was good and the surrounding countries were gradually stabilizing, so he could let go of many things in his heart. Looking at Wu Huifei's puzzled eyes, he said, "Starting from Sanshui County, the Zhang family and the Wang clan would always compromise with me as long as it involved interests. If they were afraid of me in the beginning, then they don't need to be afraid of me now. Especially after Xiao Bao and Cuckoo's abilities were revealed, they still did what they did in the beginning. They want to play the game with me, and I also played with them. Don't think that they are afraid of me. I've already thought about it. They are not afraid of me, but they are worried about the confrontation with me when the game can't continue. They don't want to hurt the entire Great Tang. Yes, they have the ability, so they will compromise and let me continue the game, leaving the initiative in my hands. However, this initiative of mine is not because of the position of emperor, but because of the people of the Great Tang. They are not willing to fight a war that will affect the Great Tang. Therefore, compared to them, I am more selfish. They don't care about the position, but I care. They care about the lives of millions of people, but I put the position first and the people second. I am afraid of them, and I also feel guilty. In the future, I will not think of dealing with them. I am immortal, and I can't compare to their hearts that are as bright as the sun and the moon. After saying this, Li Longji felt much better. He drank another mouthful of wine, and the wind from the water swept over him. A relaxed feeling appeared on his body. Wei Wei narrowed her eyes, enjoying this rare day of vacation. Wu Huifei was dumbfounded. She had never thought that the emperor would place the Zhang family and Wang family in such a position. She originally thought that the Zhang family and Wang family were the same as the other officials, demoting and killing them as they pleased. It seemed that it was not that simple. She rolled her eyes and said in a low voice, "Your Majesty, what if we bring the Zhang family and Wang family to the capital? Your Majesty will treat them to a meal, and then they will foolishly come here without any backup plans, waiting for me to give them a cup of poison wine or prepare 3,000 axemen. Do you think they are really stupid? Don't mention this again." Li Longji opened his eyes, looked at Wu Huifei, and sneered. Wu Huifei shrank back and did not say anything. She also understood that the Zhang family and Wang family were so good at scheming. How could they be fooled? "Your Majesty, good news, Your Majesty." Just as the two were speechless, Gao Lishur, who had left to collect the letter, came running back. He waved the letter in his hand and shouted from afar. When he reached the lakeside, he quickly took off the rest of his clothes, leaving only a pair of swimming trunks. With a splash, he jumped into the lake and swam towards Li Longji with his arms raised high. Li Longji sat up and looked at the approaching Gao Lishur with a smile. Li Shi's swimming skills are improving. Isn't it because the lake doesn't sink people? Gao Li Shi said modestly as he walked over. In his heart, he knew that it was because he could often enter the water. In the past, he did not like water, mainly because his body was weak. Usually, he hated that he could not bathe 8 times a day to get rid of the fishy smell. But now, he did not have to worry. Xiao Bao and Cuckoo gave him a lot of things that palace maids used. They were clean and comfortable, and they could also kill bacteria and get rid of odor. In the past, who would wear underpants and cover? Now they were all using them. Xiao Bao and Huan Huan said that they were gifts for the women in the palace, but the pants that were obviously much bigger looked very fitting for her. In addition, the paper underwear that was said to be for babies, but it was obvious that the entire baby could be wrapped in it. It was obvious that it was for her to use. Now that there was no smell on his body, he only dared to swim for a while. Otherwise, how could he improve his swimming skills? He did not acknowledge him as his godson in vain. Li Longji was also aware of this matter. When he saw Gao Li Shi splash around in the water, he thought of the group of eunuchs in the palace who dared to wear cool and breathable clothes even when the weather was hot. He was also happy. What good news? Tell me. When Gao Li Shi swam closer, Li Longji looked at the letter in his hand and asked. Gao Li Shi handed over the letter that was slightly wet. He swam around leisurely and said, "This subject hasn't seen it yet. There is an extra flower on the envelope. Xiao Bao will only draw it when there is good news. Your Majesty, take a look. What does it say? Oh, there's indeed a flower. Hui Fei, please take a look at Li Shi's letter." Li Longji nodded when he saw the pattern on the envelope. Wu Huifei first looked at Gao Li Shi cautiously. Seeing that he did not object, she moved closer. The three of them opened the envelope and read it together. Oh, it says that the river will be repaired in a few days, and the people of Xinluo will pay for it. It does not mention the specific situation. I think that Xiao Bao will not make a mistake. What is written below is to collect taxes. What kind of tax is this? We have to collect all the goods that enter the country from the outside, but we don't collect the goods that leave the country. We even have to pay the merchants who collected the goods. Why is this? Li Longji looked at the letter and seemed to be talking to himself. In fact, he was talking to Wu Huifei and Gao Li Shi. How could Wu Huifei know the reason? Her eyes were also puzzled. Gao Li Shi thought about it and said, "Your Majesty, a few days ago, Xiao Bao mentioned it in his letter. This subject thought that it should not be used so early, so I did not mention it." The reason for collecting taxes is because we are afraid that the goods produced outside will affect the country. Xiao Bao and his caravans at Pengzhou Pass always have to pay a sum of money. Now, we have the people at Pengzhou Pass deposit the money in the Great Tang Bank and then issue a certificate. Once the money is saved up, they will send someone to send it to this subject. This subject has told your Majesty before. Didn't your Majesty say that there is no need to rush? This subject already has more than 400,000 strings of coins and can withdraw them at any time from the bank in the capital. Of course, after withdrawing, this subject will take out a portion to return to Xiao Bao. Your Majesty has promised to exempt them from taxes. Hearing Gao Li Shi's words, Li Longji remembered that there was indeed such a matter. However, Wu Huifei did not understand. She pointed at the matter of giving money to the merchants who sold things and asked, "Why do you have to give money to the merchants? They naturally earn money by selling things. Return it to them." Gao Li Shi explained, "That depends on what it is, such as cloth and food. Now that they want to sell to Exine Luo should learn from Xiao Bao and collect 20% tax, which is 40%. If this money is collected, the merchants will definitely sell it at a higher price to earn money. However, Xiao Bao does not intend to let the merchants sell it at such a high price. If they want to sell it at a lower price than the local price of Exine Luo, they must compensate the merchants with money so that the merchants will not lose money." "What's the use of that?" Wu Huifei asked again. "There are many uses. One is to prevent the farmers of Exine Luo from farming, and the other is that Exine Luo will not subsidize their merchants. One of them is reluctant, and the other is also unexpected. Thinking about it, with Xiao Bao's methods, the amount of goods handled will be very large. Under the situation of attacking Xian Luo's local industry, it will also make the merchants of Xian Luo resentful of the people in charge. Without agriculture, it will be unstable, and without commerce, it will not be able to live. This is a strategy to destroy the country. Chapter 845. The weather was getting hotter, and the people were getting more and more agitated. The third floor of Changfeng Pavilion once again welcomed a distinguished guest. Li Dong, who had previously contacted the members of the imperial clan, came over today to gather more merchants from Xinluo. They gathered on the third floor of Changfeng Pavilion to discuss important matters. Everyone, the matter of the road repair has been settled. Let's see how much money you have left. Gather 1 million strings of coins as soon as possible and repair the road. The higher-ups will give us some benefits. Li Dong saw that everyone's eyes were on him, so he took out a piece of paper and pushed it in front of a person beside him. When he passed it around, he said to the group of people, there were not many words on the paper. One could read it from the beginning to the end with just a few glances. The room immediately fell silent. For the time being, no one answered Li Dong's words. They passed it around. After a quarter of an hour, everyone finished reading it. When they raised their heads again, there was a trace of worry between their brows. The person who first read the words on the paper hesitated for a moment before asking, Mr. Li, 1 million strings of coins is not a small amount for us. The higher-ups only said that there would be a reward in the future, but we don't know when it will be or how much the reward will be. It's worrying. The others also thought of this and nodded. They looked at Li Dong again, wanting to get a specific time and amount from him. Li Dong looked around, a sense of helplessness welling up in his heart. 1 million strings of cash was enough to make them feel so distressed. From the various reports he had received from the Great Tang, let alone the mountainous wealth of the Zhang and Wang clans, even a merchant with some ability could gather 1 million strings of cash when in need. This was the difference. How could the merchants of the Tang dynasty have such ability in 10 years? 10 years, if one said it was long, it was like the sun rising and setting all day long. If one said it was short, it was like the colorful clouds in the wind. When one looked back, it suddenly flowed away. When he met with the members of the imperial clan, he had also mentioned this matter. In 10 years, the children who had entered school at the age of 10 had grown up. In 10 years, the grain output of the Tang dynasty had more than quadrupled. 10 years had passed. Perhaps the mountains had not changed their color, and the water had not weakened, but the Tang dynasty had become stronger and stronger. 10 years ago, Li Longji could only be gentle with Xinluo. 10 years later, Li Longji gave the order, and the gunship surrounded. Sigh. Thinking of this, Li Dong couldn't help but sigh. Looking at the people who were still scheming, he said, Everyone, now that the Tang Empire has mountains of grain and forests of people, all kinds of advanced technologies are emerging one after another. If you still think about that little bit of personal gain, perhaps in another 10 years, there won't be Xinluo. At that time, you and I will both be sinners, and perhaps we won't even have the qualifications to be sinners. When they heard Li Dong's words, they were stunned at first, but when they thought about it carefully, they realized that it was true. Once Xinluo was annexed by the Great Tang, their positions would definitely be at risk. Even though they knew this, they still felt uncomfortable. One of the people sitting across from Li Dong moved and asked, Since you know, why don't the imperial clan take out the money to repair the road? Why do you insist on making things difficult for us merchants? It's all because of the Great Tang. In the past, when Xinluo went to the Great Tang to pay tribute, the Great Tang would accept more things and give more things. There was money, technology, cloth, and leather as a reward. Later on, for some reason, when Xinluo sent a lot of things, Li Longji's rewards changed. There were those gorgeous glass products, beautiful and exquisite furniture, and there were even vouchers to eat at Savant's restaurant and Joy House. For every 100 copper coins spent, one could use 20 copper coins as a voucher. Recently, it started to include between the clouds and the water and blue sea silver sand. The rewards were indeed quite a lot, 1 million strings of coins. But what's the use of that? The glass and furniture can't be eaten or drunk. If you really want to use up the 1 million strings of coins with the vouchers, you have to take out 4 million strings of coins to eat and drink. In addition, some people in the Imperial clan like to enjoy themselves. If we use Xinluo's money to exchange for luxury goods from the Great Tang, how can the Imperial clan have money? A knowledgeable person discovered this matter and was very worried. That's why he found us to temporarily tide over this difficult situation. Li Dong was angry at the mention of this. He was angry at Li Longji's shrewdness and angry at the disappointing people in the Imperial clan. The others fell silent for a moment, not knowing what to say. After a long while, someone asked in a soft voice, "Boss Li, even if we gather enough money, will it be of any benefit to Xinluo?" This was a crucial question, and the silent people also wanted to know. Even if it wasn't for their own benefit, taking out money to pave a good path to the Great Tang, for Xinluo, it had to be of some use. Li Dong nodded. That's the reason. When I want to see the higher-ups, I also thought about it. The higher-ups said that the Great Tang's ships coming to Xinluo aren't a good thing. They want to let them familiarize themselves with Xinluo's waters. If they send troops to attack us from the sea, Xinluo won't be able to defend against them. Thus, in the future, they are not allowed to enter Xinluo's land from any place on the sea. They are only allowed to dock at 2 designated docks. Naturally, land transportation is of the utmost importance. Compared to the Great Tang, Xinluo produces fewer goods. With the existence of tariffs, we can sell less goods to the Great Tang, or even not sell goods to the Great Tang at all. As long as goods from the Great Tang enter, they have to pay a 20% tariff. The Imperial clan will use this money to forge weapons and protect the people. This money is free. The more goods they send over, the greater the advantage we get. There are other benefits as well. For example, the ordinary people of Xinluo can't afford to eat meat, but the Great Tang's meat is cheap. Everyone knows that in the current Great Tang, as long as the people are hardworking, they don't need to be too capable to eat meat every day. If the Great Tang ships it over, the price won't be too high. At the very least, it'll be cheaper than what we get. There's also cloth and other things, especially food. The higher-ups said that if there's a disaster, we can use the 20% tariff to buy food from the Great Tang. Everyone's eyes brightened, realizing that this was indeed a good plan. Just as they were about to agree, someone raised a new question. If that's the case, then our Xinluo will always be an advantage. Isn't that Zhang Xiaobao a fool? I'd rather believe that the sun rises from the west than that he has such good intentions. That's right, several people said at the same time. Perhaps it's because Jili province produces too much and he can't sell it. So he wants to sell it to our Xinluo. Or perhaps he wants to get the good things of our Xinluo to the Great Tang faster. Even if it's neither of the two, he's just preparing to build roads to make it easier for the Great Tang army to come. That's just a little faster. Without good roads, who can stop the Great Tang army if they want to come? Even Li Dong himself did not have confidence in his words. He understood that Zhang Xiaobao could not be treated as an ordinary person. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.